Excellent. Going live. Okay, I'm live. Excellent. Excellent. Good stuff. Great. Now let's see. Hopefully some people will show up soon. Oh, hey Vance. Hey Mr. Amon. Holy crap. Hey. Oh, hola, Speed. Estoy bien, Speed. I can nice. Yeah, hey Speed. Oh, hey Gohan. Oh, Gohan, I recently saw your Discord message, forgot to reply. I'm alright, man. Thanks for always checking on me, Gohan. One second, guys. I just had a good line. I'm just writing it out. Shadow Star. Ooh, that's a new person. Hello.
Dude's just standing around. How absurd.
One second, guys. Just writing out a really good line. Okay, cool. All right. I just had that thought. Oh, hey, Ty. And then King of the Nerds. So we got a new person, Shadowstat, I don't really recognize from recently. And then Chris, so are you feeling better, Chip? Yeah, guys. So just to give you the rundown of what happened here. Yesterday, I quite literally 2 hours before the stream, I was thinking, oh yeah, we're gonna be doing a stream, and I was rushing to get my videos out before the whole thing went down. Also, we're playing Genshin because the Switch is in use, and I was gonna play Monster Hunter otherwise. But yeah, so 2 hours before the stream, some people came to visit me, and after they left, I suddenly developed a fever. Like, it came very quickly. And just to give you the extra rundown, Akko, I hope not. And then to give you the extra rundown, I had gotten the COVID vaccination on Monday, so I think that's what caused it. But yeah, the fever came hot and fast, and because of the COVID vaccination having happened the previous day, that's why I took the night off, cause I wasn't sure how much worse it was going to be. And then yeah, I pretty much only had the fever for 4 hours. I slept it off. Then I woke up this morning like at 5 with just like a little bit of a leftover headache, but otherwise, it was done, and everything else was fine. But yeah, the speed with which the fever came was definitely a little bit shocking. Oh, Zuar, I hope you enjoyed the game. The vaccine, yeah, speed got it. The vaccine is. Let's see. Oh, hey, Joshua. Hey, okay, and then Zuar. Oh, White Despair is here. Hey, Jason. Oh, nice. Hey, Jason. And Gohan gets his second shot tomorrow. Okay, nice. Are you excited for a Nintendo live stream during 3D? During E3? Yo, King, brah, 100%, man. 100%. 100%, guy. When I was younger, E3 used to be like a holiday for me. I would stay home from school. I would argue with my mom to let her understand how big of a deal this was. I had good grades still during high school, so I could afford to do it. But yeah, man, E3 is my personal holiday. But then like E3 kind of fell off. But I'm excited for this year. It's like June 14th, June 16th or something. I'm very excited. I think it's gonna be a really good June. Oh, and yeah, no White Despair. That's alright. Whatever. If it's like a fever, I can survive, right? As long as I wake up the next day, I don't really mind. Usually, I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really get flu vaccines or anything like that. When I used to travel more, like I had to get a lot of vaccines, like because of all the countries that have, different kind of illnesses and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but usually I skip out on the flu vaccine. But for the COVID vaccine, it's like, I want to be able to go back and see my family. And having the vaccine makes things easier because Canada has some really weird quarantine rules. And there's just absolute horror stories. To just get past the horror stories, take the vaccine, whatever. Oh, Jason, Hey, Common. From 1 to 10, how likely is it for Lady Got to escape now? Yo, I think it's I think it's fairly likely. Like more likely than before. It's just like right now, it looks like we're reaching a fever pitch. I'm very excited. Like, I feel comfortable saying like there's a 6% chance that she runs away with a crisis of fate. Um, but it's just like there's so many weird angles here that I don't really know how the guy's gonna finagle this. It's just because Shizaki throws a lot of wrenches into things, and then Shizaki's want of wanting to go see his father and all that. You know, I find it quite a little complex situation. Ah, no, Ty. I was busy working on. I thought to look it up, but I forgot halfway through because I was working on other stuff. Sorry, Ty. I also didn't read Sugumomo. That was the one I was going to inform you about that I didn't get to read it because this weekend was rough. I was working on YouTube stuff because the YouTube channel is like really in a bad spot right now. Like it's like getting like I think a third of the views that it used to get. So that's why I'm working right now on putting up a lot of anime casual videos. Just to get the numbers back up and get the YouTube channel back into a stable spot, and then work on it a bit more. But yeah, that's why. I feel bad though because I was about to Google it and something else came up and I don't remember what I was doing on the weekend. Oh, I'm the worst. Okay, so let me go back through and make sure I get everyone's comments here. Do you think we will get spoilers before the end of the stream? I don't think it's worth getting our hopes up. I mean, I know Akko wants me to be here for like 5 hours to make sure we get those spoilers, but honestly, oh, do I already have everything? Oh no, I don't. Yeah, I think Atsushi gets them so late. It's unfortunate because the Jujutsu Kai spoilers are already out, and the Jujutsu Kai spoilers look really good too. Like I saw the guy. Well, although actually, I wish that the Maki went all the way on the Jujutsu Kai spoilers. Let's see. Hey, oh, Vistrio. Hey, Vistrio. Vistrio. We like having you here. Thanks for being one of the new regulars. Chris said, I guess in Jujutsu I guess Nair doesn't get killed off. Naoya, oh yeah, okay. Naoya doesn't get killed off from the spoiler and the Zenin arc is over. Yeah, Chris. So it does seem like it's over from what I've seen as well. And I don't understand the value of leaving him alive, right? Like, why take out everyone else and leave that one alive? It's just like, you're leaving a problem for the future. This isn't destroying everything. Like, really get rid of him. Like, holy crap, man. Is what I would say. Like, I'm not sure if you guys can tell, but I'm not a fan. I would like to just see that guy get out of here. For anyone who doesn't know, we're talking about Naoya and Jujutsu Kai.
We can do this.
Okay, let's see. Ty says, I still haven't taken the back. I felt it was rushed, waiting for a better version. You know, Ty, honestly, I don't have a problem with that, honestly. Like, with these kind of stuff, it usually is better to just wait till the end, or just wait for like a longer life cycle. Like I really can't fault anyone for wanting to do that. That's just reasonable. Like in any kind of product that you're taking in, it's reasonable to wait for a while. Like I have my reasons for going in on it here. I'm really hoping that I'll be okay. But, and I'm really hoping everyone else will be okay. Like, one thing that did kind of color my opinion, my family, which is a lot of old people, all got the vaccine. They've had it for, like, over, like, 2 months or so. I think 2 months is right, or maybe 1 month. It's hard to tell. Like, time just flows so quickly nowadays. Yeah, no, they all got the vaccine. They were all right. So, if my old family can take it, it probably means I'll be okay to take it as well. Like, let's hope the vaccine doesn't sterilize or anything like that, because that would suck. But probably wouldn't find out till a long while. But yeah, nah, man. That's why ultimately I don't really fault anyone for wanting to take it slow. And like at the end of the day, if you're able to keep yourself safe and all that, it's a non-issue.
Huh? T? Go.
Okay, let's see. Do you stare at needle or look away? Wait, Speed, what does that mean? Am I missing something? What does that mean? Stare at needle, look away. I'm so excited too. I'm sad though because I worked that Tuesday. Oh, you missed the last. Okay, that's unfortunate, man. That sucks. Yeah, I think for E3 though, I probably will have like a live reaction because the Switch Pro, right? Switch Pro is coming out in a lot of data leaks, So I'm thinking like there'll be like a new console announcement because the Switch has been around for a while. So I'm actually very excited for that. Check that out and see what happens there. Um, yeah, yeah. Switch Pro. So I'll probably try and live stream unless I'm busy that day, but I don't know yet. Hopefully not. Also, before I forget, I should load up at Sushi. Because we do need to be ready for those wonderful Hero Academia spoilers. And guys, I am totally open to talking about Lady Nagant as we get ready, and I am 100% open to hear everyone's theories about what's going to happen next. And of course, White Despair. If you have any nice morsels from the internet, you know they're always appreciated here. But in terms of, I also got the opportunity to read through the comments for the last little bit. Or I got to read the comments for the Lady Nagant spoiler. Sorry, not spoilers. Lady Nagant video over the weekend, and I was really happy to see that. I was really happy to see that I didn't get that many dislikes on the video until very late. Like I got one dislike, I think 2 days later. But the conversations that were being had, yeah, no, a lot of people I think were being really reasonable. Like a lot of people. Well, some people I know were really defensive of Nagant, and they definitely victimized her a bit more to like justify the defense of it. But overall, the comments that I saw in the video were actually really nice and really encouraging. Although there's some people that don't like. There's some people on Twitter that I saw from what they were writing that they don't fully appreciate the magnitude of Nagant saying she's going to team up with All for One because a society has covert maneuvers, right? Like that's a lot. That's a lot. Like honestly, you should probably get out of America if you have like that much of an issue with it, given how much covert maneuvers happen in the world in general. But yeah, it was just one of those times. Overall, for the comments on the Tripl-L channel, it was pretty nice. The amount of people online who I've seen think that Izuku's is a new quirk is way too high. Wait, what? Wait, seriously? People think pinpoint focus is a new quirk. Alright, reading comprehension, I guess. I wonder what the second user's quirk is. Maybe a laser, maybe explosion, and it's 100% projectile. I feel like it's 100% projectile, right? Because of the stuff that he has. I just don't know what kind of projectile it's going to be. I think Lady Nagant is going to turn back to being a hero, and All for One is going to kill her or take away her quirk. That's a possibility. Like, it really depends on when she turns into a hero again. Oh, hey, Animamus, Digimon. I'm so excited. I'm so excited that we rushed through that, and we're gonna get more. I can't wait to see what we're gonna do for these other episodes. Did you watch Game 7? Game 7. No, I did not. Gotta feel bad for the President's Safety Commission. The man notices his warrior is clearly under a lot of stress, so he decides to offer her one of the cigarettes he keeps in his coat to calm her nerves. Yo, man. Oh, cigarettes! You're right. That would be a totally reasonable thing. Yeah, no, actually, when it comes to Nagant, I am wondering if there was more to the fallout. Like, I'm wondering if she saw at the end that the commissioner never had a gun on him, and it turns into even more clear of a murder, and then she kind of repressed that because she didn't want to have to acknowledge that. I do think there's more to the story, but yeah, cigarettes. I don't smoke, so that I never would have considered it. But yeah, maybe it was cigarettes. Oh, that's way better because like the only thing I could think is like, hey, you need to sign this non-disclosure agreement if you want to get out. It's like, oh man, okay, I'm getting sick of agreeing with Nagant that an All for One society is better than the previous one. All right, yeah, no, flat out. That's just people not understanding that they. I don't understand that. All for One society we know is a war zone. How could a society run by a man that plays with building blocks and indoctrinates a kid into killing hoodlums to turn him into a hate factory? How can you say a society run by that kind of guy is correct? I don't under. Yeah, we know how this goes. People like just get into propaganda, and when it's a pretty face talking about it, it gets worse. Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, I have no problem. You're insane. That's probably just it. You're insane, and you're probably like really well off. I just can't get behind it. I can't get behind it any which way. I don't understand how you see a war zone and think that's a better society. Like, honestly, if you think that, I maybe consider getting out of America. Maybe consider getting out of Canada. Maybe consider going to a country that is closer to All for One's ideals. So, in other words, a country where the police really can't do anything, and everything is ruled by the streets. Like, just go over there. Go out and bribe cops. Go to somewhere that you have to bribe cops normally. Also, go somewhere where you have to hope that you get rations and hope that people bring in food from you from abroad. Because right now, All for One probably is not going to have open borders. So probably go into an isolationist type country. Honestly, really, just go that direction. If you're going into All for One, you're being taken away by the rhetoric of the situation, and you're fully underappreciating how much niceties you have in the Western life. Yeah, no, I can't get behind it. Can't get behind it at all. Do you think Hawks will be number one at some point? Possibility. There's a possibility that he could be number one, like at because of the way the fluctuations happen. Yeah, he could be number one. Although, the big question is the hero popularity system still going to be in place by the end of it? Oh, Gohan. Yeah, no, I haven't been doing a lot of it. I don't see much value in keeping Naoya alive unless he's the bridge to Jujutsu Society coming to bite them in the butt. Yeah, I don't see much value either. It just feels like it's going to be the worst thing to keep him alive just because he's such a liability. Hey Google. Man offers his subordinate a cigarette and she proceeds to blow his brains out. Yeah. I can't wait, actually. That's actually a really good one, White Despair. That's really good. I need to read a few manga. Oh, Gohan. Today I was reading some manga. It's an isekai about a guy with a castle in the sky. I really enjoyed that. There's a chance the new lady that runs the committee is less harsh than her predecessor. Maybe she stopped the murder, etc. But who knows? Hawks is more than comfortable killing twice. I actually agree with you, Jason. I do think that there might have been moderation brought in, because at the end of the day, Tartarus exists. They don't need to disappear people when they just shove people into Tartarus. And Tartarus, is noted to have, human rights abuses, maybe. But at the same time, the people that they keep there, you let Muscular out, and the first thing he does is wreck stuff, right? So, this, with that one, I understand what you're saying. Like, Hawks was ready to do it. Hawks did do his best to try and talk twice out of it and de-radicalize him. But looking at that situation, I think he's prepared for it, but I don't think he's done it that often. I don't think the commission has him doing it so quickly. Like, he had a lot more leeway when it came to twice. And I think that leeway would have been beaten out of him had he gone through Nagant's treatment. Although, still, I gotta really question how the Japanese do things just because of... Nagant was a ticking time bomb. Like, she shouldn't have been in the position she was in. Nagant's quirk is probably called One Man Army. It's funny... It'll be funny how Naoya become the hero for Colon Game by saving Maki and Fushiguro. Oh, you think so? You think he'll actually come back and save her? I did see that he kind of admired Toji, but that's interesting. How often do you reread series? I reread series when I'm doing YouTube videos for them. So I reread My Hero Academia, though I haven't done a My Hero Academia reread in a very long time. I reread some arcs of Jujutsu Kai because I'm doing more casual videos for them. But if a series is done for me, I usually don't reread it. Recently, I've reread 4 chapters of Slime multiple times, only because of how delicious those chapters are. Okay, just take your time with Amphibia. Just watch the season 2 finale, True Colors. Oh, hey Sarge, I really want to see the other UA students. I hope the manga shifts to them soon. The best shot, Akko, probably is to wait for, this whole little situation with Izuku's villains to be over. But I don't think we're gonna get it otherwise. I think we have to wait for this Izuku mini arc to be done. Let's see. Imagine if Shigaraki turns All Might into a Nomo and Deku has to kill him. I would probably cry. That is so sad. Common, why are you even bringing that up, man? No, don't. That's gonna be terrible. No, no. Let All Might die in peace. Don't desecrate him like that, man. No, that's a horrible idea. No. I think that is the plan to Thanos half the population. Let's see. Hey Trip, did you hear that Critical Role's campaign 2 finale tomorrow is over 7 hours long? No, Vance, I didn't. That sounds exciting. I hope you enjoy it. He means, do you watch yourself get, or do you look away? Oh, okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, I got you. I got you. I know what that is now. It's regards to the, do you look at the needle? I don't know. I look away. Because I think the needle's gonna be bad, but then it happens and it's normal. It depends. It's been a while since I took a needle. Like I had to take needles like I think 4 times in the last 2 months, just because I had to do stuff for immigration. And so it's been a while since I've taken needles, so I was looking away, but it's actually not that big of a deal. I probably could look at the needle if I had to. Thank you guys for clarifying. I'd be hilarious if the Safety Commission president wasn't. Yes, it would be hilarious, and it would make Lingot's situation worse. The amount of the Baku Deku fans outraged on Twitter at the extended scenes of Deku and Uraraka were priceless. Yeah, suck it. Oh, and no, don't suck it. I know, like, okay, no. That's just ships getting out of control. That's funny. Nah, the Deku Uraraka scenes are cute. They're fine. To be fair, the Public Safety Commission is a dick. Yeah, they are. They really are. To Nagant. Let's see. That ending left me for 5 minutes. Oh, okay. Oh, that makes me want to watch it more. Yeah, no, I'll try to remember to watch it after the stream's over. They just want it to be all pure and no. Oh goodness, there's a lot of comments. All pure and no rain. To quote a random person on the internet, the irony of working for a supervillain that wants to rip apart a teenager and then blaming society is freaking hilarious. Yeah, yeah. Lena Gunn is not a victim. Only war criminals. You like. I was following orders. No, I understand that, John. Like she's a victim to the Public Safety Commission. Like that is the case of it overall. Her saying, she was just following orders. Like honestly, saying you're just following orders is about as good as the Nazis saying that they were just following orders when they were shooting Jews, right? Like at some degree, you look. At the end of the day, you chose to follow orders. That is a degree of responsibility that has to be applied here. But at the same time, you can harshly judge Nagant while also acknowledging, on another hand, that she was a victim in a situation. But at the end of the day, like I said in the video, right, your trauma only discounts so much. Especially with Nagant, who understands that she's a victim. Like, Nagant paints herself as a victim. That's why she talks about society chewing her up. If she's aware she's a victim, like, really, what she should do next is not make the situation worse. So again, like, I have no problem saying that she's a victim because you guys understand what it means in a narrative sense. Like the Safety Commission screwed her over, but beyond that, she still is responsible for her choices. She's not a product of her choices. She's still actively making choices based on what she thinks is correct. I forgot we are 100% sure. Are we 100% sure Stain escaped? Yes, Stain has escaped because he had a sword. And the guy is literally, we should improve society somewhat, and yet you live in that society curious. The way she thinks no one within a broken system can want it fixed is really dumb. Yeah, that's where you, like, with her, the hypocrisy is pretty ripe, and the only thing that really saves her is the fact that you can say she's having a mental breakdown. Like you look at her and how much she's been victimized, and you think, okay, like this is quite literally a person who is in a depression spiral and can't think straight. Like quite literally, this is the only way that Nagant makes sense. You have to say she can't think straight, and you have to like say that she has a compromised mentality. Just because like otherwise, the logical leaps or the logical contradictions she's getting involved in just don't make sense. People struggle with judging the scale of quirk abilities in the manga format. Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely surprised with the episode when Black Whip goes out of control personally with this recent episode. It looked like it was so much more wild than the manga, even though I'm pretty sure the manga had a similar level of destruction. They should rebuild the Public Safety Commission, like put All Might, Hawks, Gran Torino there. Yeah, Or putting a gaunt there. She knows all the wrongs. Like actually, after making sure she has better judgment. But yeah, no. Reform Public Safety Commission. This is how you make things better. You do slow little improvements. Okay, I've been dealing with this argument all day on Twitter. Did Izuku trigger Black Whip because of Monama's statement about Bakugo, or was it wanting to capture him that triggered it? Narratively, the story, I saw that too, and I found it weird. Narratively, the story wants to say, like, all right, this is really where you can question Horikoshi, because this is one of those situations where something happens. Horikoshi tells you the reason why it happened, and then you're like, are you sure? Because that doesn't look like it to me. So in that situation, he says that thing about Bakugo, but also keep in mind what Banjo says. Banjo said that anger is important. So the most unified thing you could think is probably Izuku was thinking he needs to capture Monoma because that was seeded into him from the beginning of the situation, and then the anger from the Bakugo provocation empowered the desire to capture Monoma. But honestly, like the capture requirement would have been in the back of his mind, is what I think. But Banjo comes in there and has Izuku convince himself that this was the case. But really, you can't have the situation happen without the anger. Like, Banjo doesn't actually address where the anger came from. And that's really important. Excuse me. Yeah, so Banjo doesn't address it. And that's probably why you have to consider that the provocation actually did make a difference. At the end of the day, if he's saying that the anger was noted, the provocation caused something, but it's just kind of finicky. It's like if you were to like actually review it now, probably call it a little bit of a clumsy explanation. Like honestly, just a clumsy explanation, because it kind of requires convincing Izuku after the fact. White Despair said, I'm tired of being used as a tool for murder, but shady, hypocritical higher-ups for the greater good. Let me be a tool for the biggest criminal overlord in history. At least he's honest about killing people and being evil. Yeah, no, pretty much, let me work for a dictator. Let me work for a fascist. Like, I don't get it, man. Kind of disappointed in Millennium Mom. Supposedly he was defeated. He was defeated an army of angels and 6 of the chosen ones Digimon Mega level. But Magna Dramon, Goldramon, and Spirit Bomb more Greymon were enough. We got to learn about the crest though. Yeah. So, and I may miss to that point. I'm excited about the other 16 episodes because the Millennium Mon episode, if that was where we were ending, I would have been very upset. But knowing that there's more coming, it's like, okay, this is better. Because like having War Greymon, not even Metal Garurumon going into Omnimon, I was very, very I was very not impressed. Like, that was not fair. I'm glad that we got to see 2 more Megas, but everyone deserved to be a Mega if that was going to be the finale. But yeah, at this point, I don't really like how the other people are being shafted. I would like to see more team play, but they were rushing through that so quickly. I can only hope that the last couple episodes will be really good. If the commissioner were going to kill her, why lock her up in prison? The fact, to me, proves they weren't going to kill her if she quit. Yeah, agreed. That's if you're disappearing people this entire time, and you're disappearing heroes, you have no problem disappearing Nagant, which is one of the things that makes this whole thing really questionable. Yes, all for one, the poster child being transparent. Just look at all the transparent things he's done, like ruling the government from the shadows for 100+ years. Or how about the time he was open and honest about telling Nagant about having multiple quirks? Oh wait, he did it. Oh, yeah, no. Nagant's crazy. Like when you look at it, Nagant's crazy. Like, I don't see how you have transparency when a guy is playing word games with Shigaraki about whether or not Shigaraki is going to be his own person. Like, let's face it, we have these debates about All for One because he's not clear. All for One Society is basically Afghanistan 2000. If you don't want that, trust me. Okay, yeah, I trust you, Math. Let's see, can't think of what the true final boss could be after showing off Z Millennium Mon. Maybe Z Millennium Mon just comes back as a new form. Oh, Tulsa Massacre Anniversary, yep. I might have heard of that one. Let's see. Warzone Better Society thing is as bad as Deku Vigilante thing. Ah, Mr. Amon. I like the way you think. Let's see. Hey, Trip. Oh, hey, Miguel. Yeah, Miguel. I was just telling everyone else. It was a fever from most likely the COVID vaccine, but I got over it. It would only lasted for 4 hours because I went to sleep and I slept it off. What kind of villain motivation would you be the most behind if they were going against the My Hero Academia Society? Honestly, like, in this situation, I have bigger points about Nagant, in all honesty, and Horikoshi making another villain, societal villain character. But for Hero Academia Society, you know what? I think you need to probably get into more lawful evil characters. No more of this chaotic evil, no more of these societal victims. Unfortunately, in a way, Muscular is a bit of a stronger villain than Nagant is, because like Muscular stuff is just he's flat out insane. There's no logical inconsistency when you look at Muscular as a character, because it's like, yeah, I get it. You're a terrible person. All for One is also another really good example of someone that's doing things right. Because All for One, you understand what he wants. He has a vision of society that he wants, and he wants to take it back. He wants to be a demon king. Great. Nagant is just throwing everything into the air on the hope that she thinks that her society sucks so hard that nothing else can be worse than that, which is insane. I mean, like, don't you think it's really ironic that Nagant was looking at the society and was calling it a sham from her high rise? The girl is in one of the safest places in the world, and that's her reaction. Like when I saw it, I really wanted to have a bigger rant about this because this is typical for first world problems. But of course, it's someone that lives in the lap of luxury that has this issue about society. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but this is my opinion. But typically, people that complain about society are usually the winners. It's only because they're winners that they can complain about the society that they're in. Because it's very different when you have a situation where you're dirt poor and you have actual legitimate complaints. But at the same time, if you're dirt poor, you're probably going to be grateful about any possibility you get to get out of your current situation, in my opinion. And my opinion is colored by Cuba. So going back to this question, really, I think you're better off with villains like Muscular. You're better off with villains like All for One. Heck, even Shigaraki, because Shigaraki, when he says he wants to destroy everything, you understand why. It's because Shigaraki's maladjusted. You understand who made him maladjusted. His maladjustment was the product of another man's interference. He hates society because society wronged him once and that was exasperated. Shigaraki makes sense. Like, these are people with very strong convictions. Nagant's like a paper in the wind. And if you want to go harder in terms of like other really interesting villains, you can have villains who are there just to make a point. Someone who just flat out, you don't even have to have like super anti-society or like, you know, wide scale villains. Small scale villains are really important too. Like, have a villain who just flat out wants to take out Hawks because of a particular reason or a particular issue he has with Hawks. Have a villain that takes even more of an ideological standpoint. Like, heck, I think Destro would have been an interesting one because he was fighting for unique liberation rights instead of complaining about a relatively good society not being as great as it could be. Ultimately, you're gonna be better off if you have compelling victims. Like, Nagant is not compelling. She looks like she's about to be a charity case, or like she looks like she's about to have a crisis of faith kind of thing. That's what I would say for my opinion for her. It's just like, you know, she's, to some degree, I'm a little bit soured on her. Like, honestly, I think Horikoshi needs to stop with these kind of I'm a victim of society villains. It's good for the first couple, but as he keeps producing more and he has to keep making differences between them, they just feel more and more flimsy. And I also really appreciate that for this one, All for One is believing the narrative that they fed him about her as well. Like, he says that she was the traitor of the heroes who killed a hero, and it's like, well, no, she actually just killed a shady boss. But even then, it's like, you know, it's just such a weird situation because covert operations happen everywhere. The CIA, for instance, right? It's just such a tricky situation. The politics have probably screwed their ability to kill off heroes in the same way as earlier times. Well, if speaking of that, like, the thing is, the moment Nagant kills the president, they are still in the time period that they could have disappeared Nagant, right? So, and they didn't, which is the important takeaway. But probably the politics from then have probably screwed things up. What is the name of the arc? I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like this is more about Izuku and talking to villains, but Nagant is taking it up quite a bit. Seeing Clayman get beaten up is hilarious. Yes, it is. Jujutsu Kai versus Demon Slayer, which is the better manga? Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think Demon Slayer is technically a better manga before the final arc. Juju Kai has way too many anti-reader habits, which I think shoot it in the foot. Juju Kai's power system also has a lot more jargon and also has a lot more unique rules that you need to understand before you can start playing around the power system. And Kimetsu's power system is so clear and simultaneously vague that it's easy to understand. And I say vague only because, like, you always have the characters making special effects with their attacks, but it's like I'm pretty sure those special effects aren't real. But that's the kind of vagueness. And Kimetsu no Yaiba has stronger emotional overtones. Like, it's easier to get emotional about Kimetsu no Yaiba. Like, if we're like Jujutsu Kai, flat out does not have good emotional build-up. And just to go back on to like the opinion about Jujutsu Kai, the thing that makes Jujutsu Kai anti-reader is that Jujutsu Kai rewards binge reading more. And the reason it does that is because characters will name drop characters that don't show up until like 80 chapters later. And that's a really big problem because, one, we have the disadvantage of being English speakers trying to remember really stereotypical Japanese names. Like, for instance, the difference between Mai and Mei Mei. When you're just reading it and you don't know the pronunciations, it's pretty easy to get mixed up with all the names that are being thrown around. And then also Jujutsu Kai, you need to read the prologue, but you might not know about the existence of the prologue. So Jujutsu Kai is very reader unfriendly. Like, if you're reading this week to week, that's even worse. Again, Jujutsu Kai works better as a binge read. And it's all because of the way that they present the names. But in terms of powers, I think Jujutsu Kai is better because I think the powers are a lot more creative. And I personally really appreciate curse mechanisms. I appreciate the stuff that they're using because I understand some of the religious ideas behind the concepts that they're using, so I can remember those things more or less. And the powers remind me of Bleach. Kimetsu doesn't have that kind of complexity. In terms of villains, you know what? They might be roughly equal because the villains, I think, both of the villains for both Jujutsu Kai and Kimetsu have really positive notes, and they're like really cool to talk about. In terms of main characters, Kimetsu wins out without a doubt because of the problems with the characters in presenting the characters in Jujutsu Kai. Yeah, if I was to say, like, Jujutsu Kai is a little bit more shallow with characters compared to Kimetsu no Yaiba, but Jujutsu Kai is a lot more shallow with characters compared to quite a lot of the other sensational shonens, in my opinion. Jason said, personally, I don't think Hawks tried his best to help twice. If he really wanted, he could have knocked him out with a sedative and taken away. No way his plan was gonna work. You know what? That's a fair point. Like, me personally, I would say that initially I would say, like, I thought he did well enough because of how much we saw him suffering. But actually, if we're being critical, yeah, I totally could criticize Hawks for not injecting twice with a sedative and then moving him away with his feathers, because his feathers can carry people away like no problem. So yeah, if we're if we're talking about that, with the way that I criticize people for not being prepared, I can criticize Hawks for not being prepared. Good point, Jason. Speaking of slime, thoughts on recent slime diet? Seems like everyone has different hibernation time for lizardmen. No, I do not have any thoughts on that. I have not caught up with that one. Are you going to be doing the Arifureta videos? Yeah, Joshua, at this point, I'm going to be getting around to them eventually. That's all I can really say. It's just I'm working on getting all the algorithm stuff out first. Was watching other anime channels like Anime Lately and Chibi, and well, I couldn't understand their point of view, giving the got too much of a pass. Oh, thanks, Ty. But Ty, we might be the minority. I don't really get that many viewers. So maybe you and I, Ty, maybe we're just dicks. I hope we're not. I like to think that you're really nice, Ty. So let's hope that when it comes to the others, I just think they're very unreasonable. At this situation, I think they're just being unreasonable. I think they're just being taken away by the rhetoric and the propaganda. I can't wait for Nagant to have everything thrown to her face. I don't think Naoya will be saved them in the calling game, but it'd be funny if that's the reason he's being kept alive. Yes, it would be. Drugging people is highly unethical normally. Well, like gassing a villain who has the capacity to kill 100 people. I have no problem with doing that at all. I mean, when you're playing the game of the balance here, that's where I think it becomes a little bit more easy to justify it. There is one guy on Twitter. He tweeted, "Don't ask me where I heard this, but All Might's gonna die in chapter 336." Okay. What chapter are we on right now? We're like on three something. 314. Let me check. I forget. Which one are we on? Alright, I'll keep an eye on that. It might be around there. People recently seem to hate Go for Pokemon even more after recent episodes. Now he has Gary as his rival with Project Mew stuff. I saw that episode because I wanted to see Gary, yeah. People thought we would return to more World Champions and stuff with Ash, but we're again with another Go arc. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. Like, they'll figure out whether or not this is popular. Do you think Deku could pull a Meteor and beat every student in UA at the same time? Oh, definitely. Definitely. Do you think it will be a Clayman fight will be the last 3 or 4 episodes of part 2 of the core? No. No, I don't think so. Maybe up to episode 8. I don't know. The last 4 episodes, I felt that they could cover the stuff with Hinata. But I might be getting the numbers wrong here, Vance. I would say, like, midway point for the season. By the way, how old is Lady Nagant? No idea. Like, honestly, no idea. Nagant doesn't want to improve society. She wants society that is aware of the dangers of it. Like, the reason it was so easy for people to criticize the heroes after she got it was because they weren't aware of the skill discussion that they were capable of. Yes. And to, like, just to talk with Speed and Jason, because they're talking about the whole drugging thing. The thing, like, the thing with that you get from drugging, if you drug twice and knock him out, like, first off, you're actually doing a good thing as a hero, because, like, if the goal is I have to get rid of twice, firstly, knocking him unconscious and taking him captive and arresting him, heroes do that all the time. Actually, knocking people unconscious is a virtue in Shonen Jump. So if we're just looking at it like that, you know, knocking him unconscious and arresting him is no problem. And then let's say if you put him in jail, well, one thing, you have at the very least very justly put him in jail, and you have prevented him from ruining the lives of millions. Also, by capturing him, you buy yourself more time to potentially talk to him and de-escalate him. So unfortunately, Hero Academia doesn't have a rehabilitative system, so that's why we can't talk about rehabilitation, and I would never talk about rehabilitation with Hero Academia, given how easily they throw people into Tartarus. But I don't think there's anything wrong with knocking someone out, especially when this is seen as a virtue, and especially when you're in a war. Knocking someone out seems like a luxury, and if you can afford it, then all the power to you. Jason said, that's an interesting take, Trip. Just taking orders is actually a legit thing, but is seen as as controversial to an outsider. There was an ethical experiment that was done on it. No, like I'm sure that the I've read about the mentality as well, that the mentality is something that occurs, but to some degree, you know, like a lot of tragedies will be on the backs of people just following orders. And you know what? Actually, if I was a dictator, and we're going to talk evil Trip now, if I was a dictator, what I would do, I would compartmentalize everything so thoroughly that everyone that I had under me would be doing one little thing that they would never understand would lead to, let's say, a wipeout of an entire city I don't like. Like, for instance, like you could do this more in the technology age, but if I have a bunch of people, oh, you know, just calibrate the settings for this particular sensor over here, and you just program this location into the missile's guiding process, and you I just need to fire the button. You know, we're just gonna be like testing stuff out here. You know, if I divide up the orders in such a way that the people following the orders don't understand what they're doing, you know, I get it. You can really play a lot of evil games here with the whole following orders mechanism. I think I got okay. You know what? I think I just wanted to talk about my plans for evil societies when I'm writing. But going back to the order thing, like I know it's a phenomena that happens, and I understand like the whole falling to authority. But again, just following orders, like almost all things, I think there is important to talk about responsibility. If you're a conscious individual and you can question, like even just say, why do I do the things I do? Recog- and yes, with following orders, there's a lot of pressure that comes under it because of the authority that is compelling you to follow the orders. But to some degree, we have to acknowledge that tragedies are built on the backs of people following orders. And, you know, I think it's a case by case basis where things have to be evaluated as best as they can be. Because to some degree, some people are more responsible than others. And what I mean by that is, I feel like within a group of people following orders, you know, the one that does it hesitantly is a lot more redeemable than the one who takes sick satisfaction from it. And further, you know, even within the populations that we've seen people following orders, we also have examples of people who followed orders on the surface, but also showed incredible bravery and were true heroes and were able to save a lot of people by playing the role of someone that followed orders really well. And that's the bigger thing. When you have people that can fight against the bias to follow orders, that in of itself is valuable. But I kind of gave multiple points there just to talk to you, Jason, just because, you know, you can answer any of my points, but it'll be too slow if I don't get all my points out. So feel free to talk about any of those things, and feel free to correct me, because I might be a little bit too harsh on this one. But just also thinking about mob mentality and the way people can be easily carried away about things. Like, personally, I live my life wanting to make sure that I don't fall into the easy automatic behaviors. Like, it's my personal belief that the things that you do automatically are probably the things that you shouldn't be doing, because those are like the autopilot responses. And I think living is about being more conscious of your responses and being more conscious of your behavior, or mindfulness pretty much, instead of just living in reaction. And I think the moments that I've been able to walk the walk in that sense, I've found my life to be a lot easier than the moments that I live in pure reaction. And I'm reminded of that every time that I fail to reach the ideal. I already saw a comic dub on YouTube where people are shipping Nagant and Overhaul with All For One, asking why she keeps him around. It was a little funny. Now I want more. I want more too. Saying Omega Man is fine. For consistency's sake, would you prefer using the Japanese Digimon names? I get mixed up, Animamus, so as long as you know which ones I'm talking about, I don't really mind. But I remember most of the English ones, but as I watched more of the Japanese one, I kind of remember them more. The size difference in the fight was quite something. Then Phase 2 Xenoblade was even bigger. Simply wow, yeah. The gut was so much high profile to disappear. Also, the Public Safety Commission could have used her as a scapegoat for all the missing heroes. The experiment used everyday people to torture others based on other orders, and quite a bit of persons went ahead and did it because they were just following orders. Is that the prison experiment? Is that the Stanford prison experiment? Jason, could you answer that if you got the question? I know there's a little bit of a delay. Oh, hey, Leela. Anime said technically spring isn't over till June, but summer is so close and still nothing on Digimon survived. Just hope it's not cancelled, man. Did you have any thoughts on the face Nagant makes at the end of the chapter? It looks like she's in pain. The expression on her face seems out of place for what's happening in the last few panels. Actually, if it's true, I made a small comment about it on the video. Yeah, no, I do have opinions about it. That face is what tells me, or like what suggests to me, that Nagant's about to break. Because, like, if you think about it, Nagant should be capable of shooting Shizaki, but she should not be capable of killing him. And I think what she's about to do right now is going to, like, hardcore break her if it goes wrong. Like, I think this is a real big do or die moment here. Like, again, she has no problem, like, maiming people, but this might push her a little bit. If she did kill innocent people, that explains why they were so extremely careful in the Overhaul arc. They are terrified of making that kind of mistake again. Fair, fair. I actually don't think I saw your comment on this one, Matt, because I know you're being very careful with this, and that's appreciated. I don't think she killed innocent people. I think, like, narratively, if you have it so that Nagant actually killed innocent people, it becomes a lot easier to vilify the Public Safety Commission. I think you're better off leaving it in this kind of position because let's face it, this is going to be an interesting topic if you get people saying like the people she took down at the end of the day were terrorists, right? If you and I'm not even like advocating for this, so you guys already know my lines. I don't think this was an appropriate response, but for the sake of discussion here, like this is actually really good. It's better if we keep the nuances here because if we go back into black and white, it's going to do a disservice. It's better if you have a situation where there will be a population of people that will be willing to say that the Public Safety Commission was in the right. And God forbid that it comes out that the people that Nagant took out were actually severe issues. Like when you have heroes creating criminals so that they can hunt them down, that's gross and disgusting. But do those do those heroes deserve to die without anyone knowing? No, no. I think you can capture them. I think Nagant's powerful enough that she can capture them. Hey, are we sure All For One knows Izuku has multiple quirks? No, Mr. Amon, we're not. We're not sure because we don't know the degree to which the Vestige told original All For One whether or not he spotted extra quirks. It's just like the Vestige is good enough to correspond with All For One and or like time a breakout, but it wasn't enough to tell him about the other quirks. So this one like actually is a question mark. Do you think Aizawa will die? No, I don't think so. Overhaul's ideal as a villain is pretty good to me. The eradication quirks is good. Yeah, Overhaul is another really good example. And his hypocrisies are a lot more sophisticated than Nagant's hypocrisies. Like Overhaul's hypocrisies, to some degree, the character I think is aware of them, but he's doing them just because, he has to use the poison to fight the poison. Overhaul is actually probably an example of a very sophisticated villain, and his goals actually have a lot of things, right? He wants his Pops figure to be bigger. He wants his clan to be recognized. He has a lot of pride riding in on things. He has other villainous tendencies. Overhaul has a lot of like really interesting behaviors that really set him up as he's a pretty good Yakuza boss. Someone who doesn't want to he's a pretty good Yakuza type boss for the arc. He's not a good Yakuza. Someone who doesn't want to change is better off dead than essentially attempting to forcefully change their mind. So apparently Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid has been airing a miniseries. Yes, you've mentioned this to me, Random. Do you think Nagant is really going to shoot Overhaul knowing Izuku would take the bullet himself? Or she views Overhaul as expendable? The look on her face for me, Tai, spells desperation. Honestly, if I'm Nagant, I'm going to aim the gun at Izuku. I'm going to hope that Izuku falters. I think that's the critical thing here, right? She wants the distraction. And I'm going to hope that I can hit Izuku before he approaches me. If I'm Nagant there. Otherwise, if I'm Nagant, and I'm not going to do that, my plan must be to shoot off to shoot off Shizaki's shoulder. That has to be the next plan. Because she's willing to shoot off Izuku's limbs. So she's clearly okay with shooting limbs off. So I must be thinking, I'm going to shoot the limb. Izuku's going to have an issue with that. And then he's going to get distracted. Ultimately, she wants him to have more things to think about. So she should be aiming for a distraction and not actually maiming Shizaki. Lady Nagant feels like someone Twitter with no reason why the society needs to change the wrong way. If she was a smart villain, then yes, she would take a shot overall, knowing that Izuku would be the hero even towards other villains. I think Lady Nagant is pump faking on shooting Overhaul. Yeah, I mean, like, there's two ways of going about it. It's either it's a full-on fake out, or it's a calculated risk. I think Lady Nagant is okay. I got that. Musker wants to fight strong people. If you aren't strong enough, then you die. Wrong, but understandable. Yeah, I really wish Hori would stop with the society villains. Yeah, it's because he wants them to be redeemable, right? Like, Lady Nagant is designed to make you feel bad about her and to want her to be a good person. Hypocrisy is necessary in villains like Nagant to be proven wrong, because if they have sound motivations or they are right, it wouldn't make sense for them to change to the right side. Now, Miguel's talking about something interesting there, like the value of making your villains hypocrites, because hypocrisy is very easy to understand and reconcile. So he has a good point there. Personally, I do like villains that have a point. Like when you have like really really gray situations, I think those villains are some of the hardest ones to deal with. And this is gonna be like it's actually I feel embarrassed bringing it up. It's because I was playing it yesterday, but on Pokemon Masters, God damn it, on Pokemon Masters, I just thought the rhetoric was cool. There's the character from Ruby and Sapphire, Archie, and he's having a plot line where he's upset about an artificial island, and he's saying he wants to destroy the island because the island is defiling the ocean, and that in of itself is like okay, a little bit too much. But his reasoning for it before that point, like if you take out the conclusion, the reasoning was really interesting because you have him arguing, because you had May, sorry, the character from Ruby and Sapphire arguing, well, no, people live on this island now, but you can't just take away their homes. And Archie brings up, well, this guy just put this giant artificial island here. What about the homes of the sea organisms that lived here before the artificial island displaced them? These guys live their life on the backs of other organisms. Is that right? And then May saying like, no, it's not right, but we can't just destroy things. So, ignoring the conclusion, those kind of situations where you're talking more about who was the one that was first grieved and who is the one that's going to be the final one grieved. In those kind of situations, it's really interesting because the conversation stops being about their rationale being incorrect and it's more about the final result. Like if we look at the Pokemon Master situation, the damage has been done. And the ultimate question is, do you take revenge for the damage done? Or do you accept the civilization that was built on top of the damage that was done? And I don't know if you guys can hear what I try to do there with that statement, but that is a statement that could probably be applied to many other problems in the real world. Specifically, living on top of the damage done or taking revenge for the damage done. And it's always, it's always about, when you look at the Pokemon situation, the crux of the matter is whose life matters more to preserve or to take revenge for. But like in those kind of situations, like to make a narrative easier to digest, you have to make someone the obvious villain because otherwise things get really murky. And usually, unfortunately for media, for popular media, you want things to be clear so that you don't have unnecessary division. Is Gigantomachia in prison? Do you think he's going to come back into play? I think Gigantomachia is going to come back into play because Kirishima and Mina need to finish up their storylines. And I still think, I know it's going to be really unlikely, but I still think Crimson Riot is involved with Gigantomachia. Like, I think, I'm not going to lie, if I have to try and justify why Crimson Riot is still involved with Machia, I have to go through a lot of hoops. Like, I have to go, like, really crazy theory to even begin to justify that, given the information that we have about Machia. But for now, Kirishima and Mina still need resolution with Machia. And I think we had got some good stuff in the war, but I think we need more. So he'll come back into play. Nagat was the scapegoat for the missing heroes. Yes, that she could have been the scapegoat for the missing heroes. I started hearing that society is the problem. The most villains. Why can't something else for world domination or being the best drug dealer? Yeah, like being the best drug dealer. I would totally love to see a drug dealer just through a chain of not being able to stop all the murders that he had to do in order to be the best drug dealer. At the end of like season 3 is just like, okay, I need to rule the city because this is the only way I'm going to keep people from trying to sell drugs from my turf, right? Just go for like that serial escalation. I think that is such a cool problem. Actually, like if you want to look at small scale villains, I think like the Marvel shows from Netflix era were probably really good because those villains are more driven by their sense of grandeur and their desire to control a small portion of something. Those villains are a lot more intimate because with the Netflix shows, those villains were designed to be street level, right? So street level problems bring street level scale. Leela says, Muscular is clearly related to Matsuki and Baku. Why isn't anyone thinking about this yet? Everyone felt that Dabi was related to Todoroki and it felt obvious. Leela, people have been saying that for a long time. Like people were saying like Baku and Muscular were related from the first time they saw Muscular. To quote Magneto from the X-Men First Class movie, "I've been at the mercy of men just following orders." One of my favorite supervillain. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that was a good moment. I can't seem to get into Jujutsu. Yeah, I got into God of High School instantly. Oh, that's interesting. I think God of High School is significantly more sensational and more emotional. It's easier to get emotionally involved in God of High School because it's so flashy and sensational, Leela. That's what I think is the problem. Didn't Midnight say that using anesthetics goes against the law? She said that using the grade of anesthetics that Momo was going to use was against the law, but they probably have tear gas. And again, like heroes are knocking people unconscious all the time. Like heroes have no problem throwing people into buildings. Honestly, I really think that like again, using I think having anesthetics be against the law in the grand scheme of things of Hero Academia universe, I think is entirely something that is there to limit someone like Momo. Like that's I think it's just there to justify why people don't do this more often. Because I don't see any problem when you're dealing with terrorists to use knockout gas. Does Batman use knockout gas? I feel like Batman uses knockout gas. Like it's effective. Also, isn't Nagant a hypocrite for putting Overhaul in harm's way since he thinks he's a victim of Hero Society? Her desperation is warping her on, making her more unlikable to me. Yeah, no, no. That's why I think she's gonna break. Also, Dobby make it harder for Hawks to keep twice in check. Ah, hey, Black Fox. Where would you place Chainsaw Man on that list with MC's power systems, emotional buildup, and reader friendliness compared to Jujutsu Kai, My Hero Academia, or Kimetsu no Yaiba? Oh, Google, this is a good question. Oh, I love that. Okay. Where would you place Chainsaw Man on that list with MC's power systems? Chainsaw Man is like a movie, and no one bothered to tell the author that he was drawing a movie in manga form. And with a movie comes a lot of the movie problems like lack of detail, glossing over of critical facts, glossing over of world building. But like a movie, it's exciting, it's surprising. It's kind of like a James Patterson novel, and it's supposed to be built like a movie. So let's see. With power systems, first and foremost, they're not well defined, and there's no symmetry within them, so it's very hard to tell what's actually going on. Like I can't tell the difference between Power, Denji, and other beings most of the times. It's just really hard to figure it out. You could figure it out if you like take time to like really study the differences, but it requires some degree of study. The problem is there's not enough exposition. Honestly, all that Chainsaw Man would be fixed incredibly with just power exposition the levels of Jujutsu Kai or Bleach. Give me the power exposition. Chainsaw Man makes more sense, but power exposition does not make sense when you're drawing a movie in manga form. So with power systems, they're cool to look at, but a lot of times you just gotta kind of run with it. With the characters, I think the characters are all super distinct. Probably would give the edge to the Chainsaw Man characters, because in a movie you kind of have to get a movie, they have to try and get you to like these characters within the limited runtime, and I think the author kind of understood the feeling for that when it came to Chainsaw Man, and so they were able to get the characters working really quickly. Like Denji, in of himself, his desires are so basic and simple that they work for him, right? They 100% work for him, and they're cool to see. So with that regard, the characters that matter are distinct and diverse, and there's never really an issue of being reader unfriendly. Like whenever a character is being mentioned, they're brought up pretty quickly. When it comes to more things about Chainsaw Man, let's see. Reader friendliness, I think, yeah, super reader friendly because it's designed to be like a movie. Information that's relevant is brought back up very quickly before it's actually introduced again. Emotional build-up. This is the weird one because of some of Denji's situations. It depends on how alien Denji behaves, and then you have Makima, which is the definition of alienness. Aki is pretty okay. Emotional build-up in all the situations that they needed it to work has worked. Power's situation works. Aki's situation works. When Denji is sad, it works. Denji's bond with the Chainsaw Devil in of itself works. Yeah, no. Emotional build-up probably stronger than Juju Kai, but again, a movie needs to have better emotional build-up in general, and this guy like drew it like a movie. I mean, you have to also appreciate that Chainsaw Man has probably one of the most interesting interpretations of someone's reaction to fiction. In that the scene with Maki, sorry, the scene with Denji and Makima going to the movies, and they're watching movies, and Makima makes the statement about how it's the stupidest plot in the world, and it's so simple, but it's the one that makes her cry the most. That is such a profound statement about just what affects people emotionally. Juju Kai wishes it could have the time to create that kind of emotional buildup. And then you have other really beautiful scenes like Power and Denji sleeping together, and that being a moment of total vulnerability and weakness. And then the emotional buildup that comes when when Power comes to Denji and she made a cake or something like that, and she looks so embarrassed and bashful. Juju Kai can never even hope to touch that level of heartwarmingness. Like, mind you, it's made its attempts before, but Juju Kai is too caught up in the fragility of life and how fleeting life is. Like, the intensity of those slow scenes in Chainsaw Man, Juju Kai just doesn't give enough time to kind of reach the same level. And I think the best example would be to go back to Chainsaw Man and look at the scene in the theater, because that was a pretty slow a pretty slow scene that went on for a long while. That was there specifically to make a statement about the human condition. Juju Kai makes statements about the human condition as an extension of the power dynamics within the series. And what I mean by that is, like, they talk about curses, and by looking at the curses, they make statements about humanity. It's not as profound as a devil looking in and trying to understand human feelings and why things work the way they do. I think that's a good response to that. Next episode of My Hero Academia Season 5 is episode 12. How many chapters will be for this episode? Probably 2. I think My Hero Academia Season 5 will start chapter 19, which is the beginning of my villain. Great. Sad about my thought she was going to get an actual redemption. And here we have, so this is actually an interesting opinion that Black Fox brought up. See, Black Fox is getting sad about the wasted potential in a character. And this is the thing with Juju Kai. This is the issue with the characters. Characters are cut down before you really get to play with them for realsies. And this is, again, the statement about Juju Kai is more about the fleeting nature of life and the fragility of life. And it deals more with the idea of people becoming curses. Like, it's actually kind of concerning how many people die becoming curses for other characters. Like, when Nanami is talking about it, he talks, I don't want to be a curse for Yuji. When Mai goes down, she's talking about destroy them all, which is a curse for the Zenin. And then when Panda's father, the principal, went down, he tells him, this is a little bit of a curse from me to you, to his killer. It's like Juju Kai is entirely about screwing people over with the grudges of the people that have died, which is overall more a statement about the fragility of life. And just, again, it's another example of using curses to talk about humanity. And it's not as direct as what Chainsaw Man did. First the Dobby reveal chapter guest, now the All Might Death chapter. Oh boy, this will be fun. Yeah, like, actually, I don't know if you guys remember, but I was talking about, like, there was going to be a Dobby reveal around, I think, chapter 377, and I said that because I saw it on Reddit, and it was posted months and months before, and that was roughly where they said it was going to happen. And mind you, they're right within 20 chapters, I think, if I got the numbers right. So that was actually pretty interesting. Oh, hey, Omar. Chris said, I guess Lady Nagant could be mid-30 to early 40. Yeah, I would agree with that. Midnight did say sedatives are illegal in my here, but I still think Hawks could have done it. He's already shady and still better than killing him. Yeah, no, I agree. I think, in the grand scheme of things, sedatives are much more worthwhile than killing someone. I like how there is an anime currently airing called Godzilla, but Godzilla doesn't appear till like episode 9. That's funny. I feel like Hawks could have used a feather to knock him out, to be honest. I wonder if he could have done that. I think the reason why Nagant was put in time was because she was their best, only the superior. Though that does make you question how she was caught and put in Tartarus, unless she allowed them, since we know the commission doesn't want people knowing about mutiny. Perhaps they avoided having too many know about her arrest. Maybe Hawks only knows he was arrested because he is shown to snoop. It might just been a situation where people came into the office and Nagant was having like an emotional breakdown, so she was catatonic and they arrested her there. It might have been something like that. Honestly, because of I should have I wonder if I should have been harsher during the video, but I decided to pick my battles on it. But for Nagant, there's a lot of questionable things. Like, she was in jail long enough. Well, Nagant should have been in jail for a long time. I'm really surprised she didn't reflect on her situation and didn't come up with a more fleshed out rhetoric. It kind of seems like she's kind of stunted, which makes sense if she's trauma shook. But I'm gonna withhold my opinion until we see more chapters from her, because I just think I think she's gonna be turned into a big joke here. After having doubted Asuchi post on Thursday about a gun being pulled in a gun, I was really pleased to see that was actually not the case. Yeah, I remembered you when I saw that, man, but I couldn't come up with something as simple as the cigarettes. If you think you are giving too much of a pass, consider mentality changing a factor. Would you think that way if she was ugly or a different race? Would she still get a pass? Like, look, for me, I don't care if a character is ugly. I think you guys understand that. You guys understand that. If I think they're wrong, I'm gonna rag on them. But for a good chunk of people, I do, and I think we kind of some of us agree on this. I do think a good chunk of people are kind of swayed by whether or not a character is pretty. Like, let's face it. I think some people get their wires crossed. Nagant looks like a pretty girl, and she's set up in the chapter to look like an innocent child that was thrown into a world that took away her innocence. Right? When you have that kind of framing, you're gonna get people defending her and overlooking the very questionable actions. Like, I don't understand how you think a society where a kid could get his arms blown off at the direction of a dictator. I don't understand how you think that's a better society than anything else in the world. And look, I don't have any kids, man. All right, I got no kids. But I still don't understand how you can even think that this is a good situation. Like, I just don't understand, man. Look, from my perspective, my successes are built on the backs of my family, and whatever success I have is built on the backs of other people. It's built on the backs of society that I was blessed enough to be born in. I just don't understand how you can throw away something that is built on the efforts of multiple people just because you don't like one aspect and decide to go into a situation that will quite literally destroy the foundations that people are working on. I just don't understand that. And whenever anyone talks about this rhetoric, it just feels to me like they got swayed. Like, they got way too swayed by the rhetoric. And this might be on this might be Horikoshi too, because his job is to make people feel bad for Nagant and to not call out the perceived bullshit. So it's good for him, but this is really concerning. And the thing is, because Izuku is going to be right, what we got to be looking forward is to the degree to which Nagant is going to be made to look stupid. Because we already see this happening. Like, Leela is a good example here of someone that thought Dobby's situation was ridiculous, for lack of a better word. Like, with Nagant, she's probably going to be made to look stupid in order to justify Izuku taking the moral victory on her, and in order to justify Hawks taking the moral victory on her. And it's going to be the same thing. Like, it's going to be a reverse of the situation with Endeavor, where Endeavor was brought in as an absolute monster when we needed to villainize him in order to make the Shoto arc work. But this is the thing, right? This is a bigger problem in some series, but some series can't bring up a character without bringing down another character. Like, for some reason, some series just don't think they can do this. And for my examples, like Shokugeki no Soma, I think is an example of a series that did this sometimes. But this kind of game, playing this kind of game, raising characters and devaluing other characters just to make one character seem right, it's a bad practice, and it's really just an issue of not being able to make a character elevate themselves without bringing down someone else. And it, might be a function of having limited time, limited character ideas. It might also be a pressure of being a serialized magazine and all that kind of stuff. But it's unfortunate when you see it. Like if there's something I do not like about Shonen Jump series, it is the habit to make a character wrong by only making another character more correct. Jason said, I didn't disagree with about the rest. I was just shedding some more light on the fact there is a significant people that would hurt others on just orders. Oh, okay, gotcha. Thank you, Jason. I wasn't sure if you were disagreeing, but I just wanted to make sure I covered all my understandings of it. But yeah, okay. I do agree. There are people that would hurt. I feel like for some people, being given an order is like they want the order because they want to be able to hurt you, right? I mean, that I think that happens a lot with power dynamics. Do you think the author is going to explore the origins of quirks, like what caused it? I hope so. Let's see. All for One might be able to talk about it. I feel like if we were to go into a situation where all the quirks in the world are removed, I feel like that's where you would end up talking about the origin of quirks. But otherwise, I don't know. I feel like Origin of Quirks would be like a Naruto level sequel. No, it was an experiment that had actors react like they were in pain from receiving an increase. Oh, I know that one. People would keep shopping them based on the orders they were given. Oh, I know that one. Yeah, if I was in that experiment, guys, I'm gonna assume the worst of me. I think I would turn up I think I would turn up the electricity. Actually, no, I don't know. Would I? Oh, how much do I want to see people suffer? I don't know, right? Like, I don't want to ever give myself virtues because I don't think I'm a virtuous person. I think it's better to be prepared for the fact that I'm not virtuous and then hope that when the day comes, I turn out to be more virtuous than I thought. But for those that don't know, it's pretty much there was a dial on the shocker, and you could turn up the dial and you could press it, and the person would get electrocuted. The person, as Jason said, was an actor, so they would pretend to be electrocuted. They'd be able to see what the dial setting was, and then the thing was pretty much if a scientist told you, "Hey, turn it up to 6 and shock them," you were more likely to do it because I think the reasoning is it's an appeal to authority. Like maybe in the back of your mind, you're kind of like justifying, like, well, it's a scientist; they must know what they're doing. But it is a very interesting situation. Those are like the type of situation that you need to hope that you're mindful enough and you're questioning authority to some degree here. And for those kind of situations, like I think that's why it's probably better if people start their morals with some fundamental things that they won't move from. Because when you start from that perspective, you might have a better time. But that's like a mental technique for maybe not being a terrible person. I have no idea if it actually works. But yo, Jason, thanks for bringing it up, man. That completely left my mind. Yeah. Oh, I hope I'd be a nice person, but you never really know. Sometimes in real life, people ask me questions about, what's the worst thing you can do in like whatever particular situation, and they're always surprised when I assume that I'm going to be the worst person I could be. But in my experience, it's probably better to assume that you're going to be a terrible person because you never really know. Because say if you get into like a really high stress situation, you never really know how you're going to react in a high stress situation. That's why people do drills. Like, what if in a high stress situation, you should have been doing something critical, but you freeze up, right? You can never really be too sure what exactly is going to happen with panic. Like, as a kid, there's quite a few moments that where I froze up that I felt really guilty about otherwise afterwards. And I really chastised myself quite a bit. And at some points in my life, I thought I was always going to be a freezer. But then one time when I had a situation with my roommates and it looked like one of my roommates was about to be attacked by another guy, I jumped in. I jumped in very quickly. I flew into action. And that was the one time that I actually felt a tiny bit proud of myself. Because it was a pretty quick reaction. And that was the first time in my life that I was actually able to do it. when that happened, I definitely looked back at all my other experiences of failure, and that gave me a little bit of hope. It gave me a little bit of hope that I could maybe do things a little bit better when it came to these really panicky situations. Leela says, how many manga chapters is this arc Deku Lone going to be? I feel like clearly this is Deku Lone Wolf arc. I can't tell you, Leela. I want to wait. For now, I'm going to say until I see Stain. I'm not going to give any big numbers here, because I think Stain is the final villain we need to speak to here. We have the vestiges of previous users of One for All, but shouldn't Izuku also have vestiges of All for One and the guy who stole the stockpiling quirk from? Yes. Yes, he should. Now, the vestige from the stockpile holder, I don't mind if Horikoshi says that it's just like a phantom, not as fully formed as the other vestiges. But if we're talking about this, like, if the stockpile quirk can stockpile vestiges enough to superpower it when it comes to One for All, then All for One should have been stockpiled in there, and so should have the stockpile quirk. So I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the day, and I think, you know, it could be fair to say that the stockpile holder might be a person that we might be important to look at, because it might shine some light on All for One's history or something like that. Wonder how many episodes in season 7 this would technically be, assuming 6 is just entirely the war. You know, XL, I could maybe answer that, but I need to do a mathematical calculation. Like, I'll go look tomorrow, maybe when I have time. I'll do a quick count up, and maybe I can give you the answer tomorrow or on next week. I got tired of all the killing, so now I shoot at children and the crippled. Yes. I like she points the gun to Overhaul the same way Overhaul's friend points the gun at Eri. Also, the full body shot of Lady got was similar to All Might's in a previous chapters. In a previous chapter, love the parallels. The full body shot. Which one? Sarge, can you give me a page number, or like which chapter? Which full body shot are you talking about? I want to know which one you're talking about. Yeah, Archie wants more ocean. Okay, I know where I am now. Oh God. Oh wait, no, I'm not that far. Nagant only thought about multiple quirks after the smoke quirk was used, which All for One isn't privy to at the moment. Yeah, but he should be privy. Well, the vestige would be aware of Black Whip, and if he saw Black Whip from a guy, if he knows Black Whip, what it looks like when he killed Banjo, he should know Black Whip now. All Archie wants to drown past you about submerging a whole island would be a worse pollutant than just leaving it floating on the ocean. Yes, yes. He didn't think of that when he wanted to sink it. Then there's Maxie, who said he wants to increase the island for evolution, yet no one in it past here wants more land. The most, yes. I love that you guys also played this thing. The most correlation I could see between Crimson Riot and Hiyatamakia would be something like Hiyatamakia being the one who ended Crimson Riot's career. Can't really see anything more than that. Yeah, no, like, for me to justify this, I need to go into crazy lengths, like saying, like, Crimson Riot gave up his quirk to get a bunch of other quirks that went too far for him. Like, it requires a lot. Like, if Horikoshi was to actually do it, I would 100% criticize the hoops he had to jump through. The recent reveal, Gentle La Brava, being added to Justice 2, when I saw the gameplay, I was thinking to myself, oh right, this game exists. Yeah, I need Momo to take over Midnight and have an ultimate move where she produces Midnight's gas. Oh, that would be neat. The more allowances you give people, the more abuse you allow to go unchecked. Yes, agreed. I always thought Team Akron and Magma were the dumbest teams. Both their plans would destroy not just human society, but most life on Earth. How would they even live in their ideal world? I know, they're very short-sighted. That's what makes their about-face even more funny. I mean, the author Chainsaw Man was very self-aware of the vagueness, so part 2 can be easier to write. Okay, well, I'll be excited for that. Any spoilers for Atsushi? I'm gonna try and catch up to your guys' comments here. Oh, but we have a really nice conversations today, guys. Or we had many nice conversations. I really appreciate. I don't see anything here. We found out that Riona can influence Heroes Tag in today's episode. Yes. I do not think today's episode was strong. I'm asking God for more strength to be able to watch it. The end isn't yet. Even if Izuku found All for One and Shigaraki right now, he would drop from lack of sleep. He is in no shape to fight them right now. Agreed. Jujukai set up Mai to look worse. If she could have removed Maki's cursed energy the entire time and just refused to. Yeah, it's kind of weird, right? Well, no. Wait. I believe what they were saying was that she was taking the cursed energy away because she was dying, right? I think that's the implication. Like, I think the implication is that she only takes this away if she dies. I think that's what it is, Speed. Because I'm just remembering it, like the way that Mai set it up. It's about the way that cursed energy looks at twins. Even if it's a terrorist, killing another human being takes a lot of mental damage for the murderer. That's why war propaganda tends to dehumanize the enemies, so people don't feel bad for them. Yes, very good point. Or, you know, like, honestly, the safety commission probably should have been looking at hiring psychopaths or sociopaths. I always get the names wrong. I'm sure Jason can correct me. Like, I was recently reading a Batman comic, and one of the new characters, Ghostmaker, was talking about, like, yeah, I realized I was a psychopath, and I thought, you know, instead of doing like a regular thing like being a CEO or something, I could just go out and do something no one's ever done before and take out villains. And it's like, yeah, this is probably an example of a talking point when it comes down to the kind of people that the safety commission would maybe want to work with a little bit more. I almost forgot mean, although I will say philosophically, and this is completely philosophically, I don't know how this would work in real life. I do think, and you know, this is probably like maybe a little bit of Buddhism coloring my opinion here. I do think that if you're going to have someone do something terrible, I think it should be the kindest person doing it. Legitimately. I think it should be the nicest person. If someone's going to get killed and someone's going to kill that person, I think it should be the kind to do it. Because I think only the kind will be the ones to properly feel remorse for it. I think the kind people will be the only ones to properly hurt and properly take into account the damage that they caused. I mean, I do think that's an extreme view. Personally, I don't know if I'll ever grow out of that view, but I think these kind of, if something terrible is going to happen, I think it should be done by someone that understands the full ramifications of the terrible thing that they're about to do. I don't think it should be left to the ignorant to do terrible things. It should be people who are fully aware of stuff. But of course, that's a philosophical point. Very hard to actually apply it in real life. But that's a personal opinion about me. If you guys want to know, I would probably take that opinion up to like monks if I was talking to them again. I'd probably take that opinion up to them and see what they thought about it. I almost forgot Mineta has that stupid scene this episode coming up. Also, do you think Monoma might have some form of lightning or glow before he draws a blank? Oh, I don't know. It'd be cool if he did. I saw you posted a title for 315. Wait, did he? Am I on the wrong account? There's only 3 tweets. Am I on the wrong account? Oh, god damn it. Sorry, guys. Yo, Ty, where did he post this? Cause I might have to go to Manga Helpers. Cause I just saw something about he's gonna post things on a new app or something, which is just like, oh great, probably to get away from the all-seeing eyes of Shueisha. Okay, I've loaded up Manga Helpers. I think the problem lies that the public aren't aware of the sacrifices made. They think heroes, when in reality there's a constant threat of someone that might wipe out an entire city with just one touch of it. Hero Society made the public the promise that they'd be able to stop evil before it could cause major damage, but the promise is mostly All Might's fault because he raised the standard for all heroes. That's why modern heroes weren't willing to kill or not even using drugs on villains, because they had the standard of being able to stop the villains alive without causing major damage. Yeah, no, I agree with this, Miguel. Like, I was saying it during the video too, but like, in a way, the Public Safety Commission's overcorrection of this definitely made society worse. Like, I think society should have been made aware how fragile their peace was, because then at least everyone's going to be a lot more appreciative of the situation. Like, yeah, when you look at it, and this is echoing what I said on that video, but the Public Safety Commission overcorrected 100%. There's no way of saying they didn't. And mind you, that overcorrection might have been because they came out of a terrible period, but the overcorrection creates this society now that doesn't appreciate heroes. All Might is technically a product of Hero Society and a person trying to meet the ideal set forth. And the other thing with All Might, but you have to consider All Might came up with the idea. Well, All Might developed the idea of a symbol of peace. Like he's one of those. He's like a thought leader, right? He's the one that came up with the idea and strove for it. Ah, Going Rogue. Hello, Going Rogue. I've only been a runner, never been a freezer. Oh, okay. I kind of want to see Gentle as well. Me too. What if they screwed up and they gave her the wrong address by mistake? Well, that could definitely happen, although that's a different level of... that's a high level of incompetency, man. When you see her back. Oh, okay, gotcha, Sarge, thank you. Yo, Trip, I finished all the sub One Piece with is worth... but do you think Mingo's brother is still alive? No, he's dead. He's completely dead. Deku is definitely going to Bakugo once he unlocks the second user's quirk. I hope so. Corazon is super dead. Trip, what are your hopes for the second core of Slime? I want to get to Hinata. Honestly, I want to get to Hinata's arc. Because, like, Hinata just takes so many L's. I just want to see her, like, come to terms with, yeah, you are a legitimately terrible person. You should have listened. Based off of the US and Japanese Pokemon Twitter accounts, English speakers are more hyped for Legends Arceus, and Japanese are more hyped for Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Oh, interesting. Oh, hey, Revenant. Which one? The episode or the manga chapter? Because the episode is regurgitating my opinions on the manga stuff from earlier. Are you talking about the manga or the anime? They hired Nagant. They should have gone psychological. Like, she doesn't have the profile for it, man. 2 user is Bakugo, not Katsuki, like his grandfather or something like Roku or Zuko from Avatar. Okay. More interesting in Pokemon Arceus. Oh, I'm more interested in Pokemon because it seems like Pokemon going forward and changing the formula a bit than a remake of an old game that I played. Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm not gonna say excited because what I saw leaves me concerned. But like, let's say Monolith Soft is helping Pokemon or helping Game Freak. All they have to do is say that Monolith Soft is helping them, and I am 100% in. Because at least I trust Monolith Soft. Since you're reading a Batman comic, check out the newest Damian comic called Robin. It has 2 issues so far, and Damian basically entered a Mortal Kombat tournament with the world's deadliest fighters. Oh, okay. Speed said Jujutsu Kaisen explanation for it is kind of clumsy because it doesn't explain how she's able to take the cursed energy of another person in the first place. Yeah, no, I agree with you that it's kind of clumsy because it's relying on its jargon. Like, for my understanding, Speed, when she's saying I'm taking the cursed energy away, she is saying I'm taking my own cursed energy away. And the reason that Mai's cursed energy is Maki's cursed energy is because of the way that identical twins work. It's like there's a program trying to make sense of Maki and Mai, but it doesn't understand the format of the data that's being taken in. That's how I interpreted it. But like, it requires, like, for me, it required reading this over and making a bunch of assumptions based on what Mai was saying. But yeah, no, like, that's how I interpreted it. It's not Maki's energy. It's Maki's energy only from the perspective of the cursed energy itself. It's technically, from our perspective, Mai's energy fully. Just watch the anime Kakegurui. It officially has the crazy anime girls. Midari rouses me. I don't know how to feel. Have you seen it, Trip? I have seen it, Ty. I have seen it. I used to do reviews for it, I think. Yeah, man. It's something. I don't know if you corrected it, but the reason why Izuku didn't use Black Whip to capture Nagant as soon as he grabbed it was because his parallel process was so messed up due to not being used to third quirk. Yeah, no, I saw that. I saw that comment, and I should have addressed it. But my response was, I still think the situation is clumsy, because no matter what happens, Izuku still runs his mouth at Nagant first. Like, there's no, like, when Izuku, it's not like Izuku went to Nagant and was like, oh god, for some reason, I can't capture Nagant with my Black Whip. No, instead he goes flat out, hog wild with saying, I'm going to capture you. And it's like, Izuku, really? You're gonna like talk about what you're gonna do in the future? Come on, man. So that was my interpretation of it. I don't think, legitimately, I saw nothing from Izuku to tell me that he was going to try and use Black Whip on Nagat before he started talking. And, like, really, when you read it, there's no indication that, like, okay, it's pretty much, can you tell me Izuku was going to use Black Whip before talking? You can't. I legitimately think there's no way to tell me that's the reality. So that's how I would counter it. Although I will put the asterisk, I do think that's probably how it was intended to be read. And then that leads me to just say I think it's clumsy. I think it was a clumsy execution. Like, honestly, having Izuku talk first just screamed like such a bad tactical move and all, like in the grand scheme of things. It just didn't look very good to me. And even then, Izuku should have been able to just squeeze her arm and just break it. I know, I'm still fixated on the arm thing, but that would be my interpretation. I should have addressed it, but I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal. That makes it seem like them being twins is a mechanism that facilitates it, which they have always been. Fair point. Sorry, Trip, that was a fake Atsuchika. Oh, okay, gotcha. I kind of fear Inko's reaction whenever she finds out what Izuku's been up to. Black Lagoon has some crazy women too. Yep. Watch Nintendo show off a bit more. Yeah, I do hope they show off a bit more of those two games. The anime episode, I guess. If it's can you give me as to why you have a problem with Ochako doing that, or her character revolving around it? Ah, hey, Seth. Yeah, Revenant. I understand wanting to see more of it from herself, but I think it makes sense. Yeah, my problem with it, Revenant. So, guys, Revenant is just talking about the Uraraka situation that every follower of the streams knows that I always have. Like, as Miguel pointed out, I made what, like 20 minutes of a video dedicated to Uraraka when only 10 minutes was like the rest of the chapter. Yeah, I'm really fixated on it. Revenant, as I said in the video, the problem with it is that it bashes Uraraka in the knees from a narrative perspective. It's incredibly stupid to have Uraraka picking an issue with the question of who saves heroes when they're in trouble, when everywhere else in the manga you have people answering the question like it's an afterthought. That is the particular issue. It's a fundamental incompatibility with the rest of the manga that over time will limit what kind of storylines Uraraka gets. Because while Bakugo, for instance, will jump in at the moment that something goes wrong to save another hero, Uraraka has to go like, who saves heroes when they're in trouble? And to go to like the most recent stuff, just to capture how this works for her. For instance, when Izuku is out alone, Uraraka makes a statement, who's gonna help heroes when they're in trouble? Like, she regurgitates it right before we find out that Izuku's striking it out on his own. As we find out, the people who are trying to give Izuku support are other heroes. All Might, upon hearing what Izuku was doing, flat out told his mom, hey, I'm going with this kid. All Might, like, yeah, you know, All Might's not the best person. Like, All Might's still having a few communication issues, but he's trying. This is why the question is a problem, because Uraraka is going to be stuck on this while everyone else is living the answers of the problem. And like I said in the video, the nuance is that Uraraka is completely justified in having the question where she is in her development. But because of the way that the author separates Ochako from the rest of the characters, there is no reason to have any faith in him when it comes to actually giving Ochako good stuff outside of the obligatory main character moments. And what I mean by that is, right now, I feel like we're in a moment where we have to see, is Ochako actually going to do something about Izuku's situation, or is it going to be Bakugo? Because if Bakugo pops up and he's the one to help Izuku first, then Ochako once again has been made to look stupid. And she's going to get some kind of consolation prize to make it seem like the author still cares about her, but he's ultimately treating her in a different way. We've already seen enough issues with Ochako's treatment in this manga, there is no reason to have any, and let me make it clear, any faith in the author with his treatment of the female students. I don't understand how you could have faith in the author with the female students when we have gotten to this point and we have seen already horrible miscarriages of how the girls are treated. And I say female because like the adults typically get a bigger run. So that is my opinion on that whole situation with Ochako. This is such a fundamental narrative problem that you're not going to see the results of it until later on. And it ultimately is coming out of Ochako being in a manga with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things while she's being normal. And again, it's not fair that Ochako is normal. But because of this, we also end up in situations where people start berating Ochako for things that are a byproduct of having her limited so significantly. Again, the fact that no other hero has this issue of wondering what happens to heroes who suffer, and instead you see these heroes actually helping other heroes, is the big issue. For every single person in the manga, this is a non-issue, and only Ochako draws it up as an issue. It's going to cause a really big issue. It's going to cause a really big effect the longer the manga goes on. Lost my voice. Oof. But I get really passionate about it. What I pretty much see when I see this moment happening, I see only frustration in the future. And, you know, to be fair, I've also had a long streak of pointing out that the girls in Hero Academia are not treated very kindly. The first time I pointed this out ever, just for people that don't know the history, I pointed this out in my overhaul arc review that the girls got shafted. And people at that point were saying, hey, give Horikoshi time. Like, you know, the girls will not be shafted in the future. And it's like, no, they still get treated a little bit worse. For every time Ochako gets something significant, Bakugo's gotten 3 times as much. And like Overhaul's arc was pretty bad because with Overhaul's arc, what you saw was pretty much Fat Gum got more development than Ryukyu. Sun Eater got more development than Nejire. You barely know anything about Nejire. How funny is it that the next time you find out something about Nejire is during a beauty pageant? Like, really think about that for a second. Sun Eater gets to have this whole giant moment when he's fighting villains. He has this whole beautiful flashback about Mirio. He has that moment where he senses that something's gone wrong with Mirio. And then Nejire is just kind of an afterthought. And then you find out about her during the bare showing of a beauty pageant. And people want me to believe in the author? Are you joking? No, Shonen Jump doesn't care about female characters all that much in general. Like, why would I believe in this? I'd rather be surprised than anything else. Mind you, I might be too cynical. I don't get Damian Wayne. Before he ripped off his R symbol, so it seemed like he quit being, but his new costume still has the R. Damian reading manga in a new comic. Oh, that's cool. I'm interested in seeing these last 3 episodes of this course for 86 since it gives off final battle vibes. Random, we're still in volume 1. I can't wait for you to see it, man. Manga over narrates as a matter of course. As for Black Whip, he mentioned his parallel process was messed up. Yes. Personally, I think Nagant won't manage to escape from this battle. I think she will likely attempt to flee. However, this will be when Hawks, Endeavor, and Genus arrive to capture her. I would like to see Hawks talk to Nagant, because I feel like he's going to be the one to tell her about like the fallout of what she had done. Izuku made a comment about his parallels being screwed up. It's a Western comic hero thing to say cocky lines in the middle of fights, as Smart replies. She saw the answer right in front of her. Yeah, no, I know he made the comment about his processes being screwed up, but he made the comments only after he fell. Like, you still can't tell me he wasn't, like, in the time he, like, I think it's a clumsy setup. I think I'm okay being wrong on this one, but, it just, like I said, I understand what's intended to be read as, but I think it's just clumsy. She saw the answer right in front of her with the Pussycat supporting Ragdoll. I think it's more the heroes, not simply singular heroes. You're forgetting that the general populace is willing to ignore a crying child left to wander the streets. Oh, no, I'm not. No, I never forget that. Let's see. Uraraka is as useful as Jiro. Ochako is getting the Naruto treatment with the girl, at least Sakura. Gonna sit for Uraraka and Hori and make up some profound theory about why her question would be important. Just give me a moment to type it up. Oh, awesome. Excellent. Okay. So I understand wanting to see her do more of what she states, but does that not help the overall plotline of Hero Society needing to rely on more than just heroes themselves? I understand wanting to see her do more of what she states, but does that not help the overall plotline of Hero Society needing to rely on more than just the heroes themselves? I mean, if Ochako at the end of the day leads counseling services, then great. Like, yes, Ochako's storyline will help. What I'm not arguing about, like I said in the video, like I'm not arguing that this isn't good for Ochako. Like I said in the video, this is important for, like, this is actually, Ochako is the normal one. Like I said in the video, she is the normal one. She is like, her crime is being in a manga filled with other extraordinary people. I'm not arguing about whether or not this isn't going to be good in the grand scheme of things. I'm arguing about what this is going to do to Ochako's character. I guess, like, the better way to say it is, like, at the end of the day, there's going to be more people criticizing Ochako unfairly, and it's going to be a ramification of the dynamic that this rhetoric caused. And I'm pretty sure that if he continues this, like, at the end of the series, I probably could make an argument showing every instance of heroes actually helping each other out. And I'm pretty sure I could use that to devalue some aspect of the Ochako rhetoric, depending on what he does with it. But again, like, and I talk about this at the end of the current episode video too, but Ochako's rhetoric, unfortunately, doesn't end in anywhere good. Because one thing I pointed out in the video was the paradox of being a hero necessitates that there's always going to be at least one hero that's going to be sacrificed, that no one's going to be able to help during a critical situation. And the example would be, like, imagine a hero is in dire straits, then another hero shows up to help them, but then that hero gets victimized because of the situation. Like, you know, it depends on where exactly. Ultimately, who helps the hero that helps the hero that's helping the hero, right? When you continue the chain of events, because of the nature of heroics, there will almost always be a hero that gets screwed over, because the fundamental nature of heroics is that there is going to be some level of sacrifice occurring. At the end of the day, there will always be one person that gets screwed over because they weren't able, because, well, that's just how that thing goes out. And when it comes to Ochako's rhetoric, that's one of the unfortunate things. Ironically, the thing that saves the heroes is to have a society that doesn't need heroes. Because by the fundamental definition of a hero, if you need a hero, it kind of, if you need a hero in the most idealistic situation, or in the most true to the meaning of hero, you fundamentally say that you have a dangerous society that requires saving at the expense of someone else's life or someone else's safety. So ironically, I think personally, if you want, I think it's worth pointing out that if you want to be a hero, you are acknowledging that society is dangerous. And in a way, the ideal should be wishing for a society that you don't have to be a hero in. But with regards to Ochako, and we're just talking about general rhetoric here, the rhetoric, it's going to be really interesting because this rhetoric will ultimately leave one hero being sacrificed. And it's also interesting because how do you actually help someone like Izuku? And this is something I point out in the video too, like, just the nature of battle shonen requires that Izuku's going to be alone by himself, and it's ultimately going to devalue Ochako's rhetoric. There's limits to what Ochako will ever be able to do for other heroes. I mean, all it takes is, if Ochako was to have therapy services, or like if she was to lead the charge on heroes' mental health, all it really takes is a hero not wanting to get help, right? Because maybe they decide they want to be a hero and they don't want to get help and they want to instead be helpful to others, right? The fundamental nature of a hero creates it so that there's probably always going to be one sacrificed. And this, again, is a general talk as an extension of Ochako's rhetoric. It doesn't have anything to do with any of my criticisms here. The thing is, Uraraka has always been a true hero. Like, when the very first thing she did was doing a support for his broken arms. If she can play other roles besides a hero supporting a hero, does that not help the overall narrative of fixing hero society? Oh yeah, no, that does. That does. That does. Trip, question. What do you think Law's Awakening would be? Bigger room. I don't know. It's just because the awakenings are so weird. I don't know. Maybe he can generate a room from away from himself? Ochako has always shown moments where she just did the thing without thinking too much, but the problem is that she doesn't believe herself that much, or she doesn't realize that being a hero is a thing of instinct, not by though. I mean, like, again, it's important that Ochako learns, right? Well, and this is something I'll always say. Ochako's a normal person learning how to be a hero. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. It's just that this puts her at an unfair playing field when it comes to everyone else. Wait, what were still involved? How many volumes are there? Okay, she could actually look like a horror child, movie child. To be fair, yeah, but that they're also in a world of mutants, so they should be used to people looking ugly by our standards. Let's see. Some people are saying Joe might die in the ring at the end of the season Megalobox. Like, I know that the first Ashita Joe died with Joe died like fighting in the ring. I really hope he doesn't. I'm really concerned about this whole thing and Mac time though. I'm really concerned. I don't want Joe to die. Like, I see Ochako as someone who breaks the mold of Izuku becoming just another All Might. At the end of the day, Izuku is All Might compared to the other heroes. So it's the same process, but Ochako, if Ochako can play a role for Izuku himself, is that not a way to break through the problems of Hero Society? Yeah. Like, if she can break a... I don't have any problem with what you're saying. But if Ochako breaks through to Izuku and actually communicates to him and gets him to calm down, quantify for me what is the difference between Ochako doing that and Rei's family coming in to help Endeavor. Like, we're already seeing this. Like, I have no problem with Look, Ochako in this situation, all she is doing what everyone else is doing. All we're seeing is her coming to a point where she's doing what we've seen 100 times before. There's nothing special in that. What is special in having a support system when we've seen it 100 times before? Right? That's my opinion here. Like, yes, technically, it will help society in the fact that, yes, it's good that heroes have support systems. Thank God that we have Hawks coming in and saying Endeavor needs help. Thank God we have Rei, a significant other, coming in after all that Endeavor has done and telling him, hey, we're going to work together. Thank God we have the Pussycats coming in and being like to Ragdoll, don't worry, hugging her, loving her, giving her support. What is Ochako doing of value that these people haven't done before? And so, if you're asking me about, at the end of the day, Izuku is All Might compared to the other heroes, the same process. But if Ochako can play a role for Izuku himself, is that not a way to break through the problems of Hero Society? I mean, yeah, it is, but everyone else has done it too. What is special about her? Is it because she's a main character and she's doing it to the main hero? And this is where it's ironic, because it's probably going to be Bakugo that fulfills this purpose. It's probably going to be Bakugo that comes in there and smacks Izuku awake, because it's already been Bakugo that's done it. When Bakugo goes up into the sky to take a blow for Izuku, is that not Bakugo telling Izuku, hey, stop doing things by yourself? The same thing that Izuku is doing right now? And this is, again, coming back to the issue with this rhetoric. Ochako isn't special. Ochako's idea here isn't special. The fact that she is having it is important because she's a normal person stepping into what it means to be a hero. But otherwise, it's not special at all. All that's special is that the author is saying that it's special because it's Ochako having it, but it's not. Everyone else is doing it. So going back to your question, yeah, it helps society, but so what? Everyone else is doing it. Everyone is doing it. It's not just her. Her one. It's like a small contribution joining up with everyone else's contribution. I'm not arguing that it's not going to have a help here, but Horikoshi is going to have to really really spin this in order to make this whole rhetoric worthwhile. Izuku's comment of society not being black and white, and that's why he has to lend a helping hand to people, already answers Ochako's question. Izuku is already trying to help a broken hero. I know I was theorizing that all of them were going to die by the end of 86. Oh, yes. I know spoilers for that, so I can't get involved. I did a comparison once. Who does Ochako compare to Lucy? Nope. Urza? Nope. Wendy? Nope. Meliana, that sounds right. The burden shouldn't only be on the heroes, I think, is the broader point. Like, yes, a hero is an exemplary person, but everyone should try to be exemplary. Oh, I agree. I think that's the bigger thing. It's about the responsibility being shared. Chao Shigaraki looked like he needed a couple bullets. Hawk's rhetoric makes more sense. A society that has hero have free times. Yes. Trip, apparently volume 10 for 86 drops June 10th, but there's no English translated release date. Wow, they're volume 10? Wow. Alright, I mainly just wanted to get a better grasp of your thoughts. I guess I just want to find the good in Ochako having that specific thought process. Oh, no, I can give you the good. If you want the good, I can give you the good. The good is, specifically, remember, it's not Ochako's fault that she has it. Like, Ochako having it internally is amazing. Because this is what a character going to hero school should be doing. You know, if you're a normal person and you wanted to go into hero school, you go to these classes and you're learning about what it means to be a hero. She's giving more context to wanting people to be happy. And so in that sense, her progression as a hero and finding her heroic identity is actually really, really strong. And in that way, it's actually great. Ochako has the best development in the first two acts of Hero Academia. And this is, again, one of the best parts about it. Ochako's only crime here is being stuck with a bunch of people who are significantly ahead of her, who are doing more things, while she gets stuck with this rhetoric. And unfortunately, because of the way that the author depicts it, she always gets shown to be someone that just talks and doesn't walk the walk. But this is appropriate given what she is. Ochako is probably the most realistic character of all of them. Like, definitely more realistic than Bakugo and Izuku. And that should be respected. Revenant, if you need to understand, my issue is specifically with what this is doing to the author's writing and his trajectory for Ochako as opposed to Ochako herself. I just said that Ochako has shown moments of true heroism where she has already answered her own question, like when he did the shirt thing in summer camp. She didn't doubt. Yes. Yes, I got that one, Miguel. Maybe Ochako's goal is an ideal where sacrifices are not needed. I think so. That would be a goal, but I think if you get to a point where sacrifices are not needed, you probably don't need heroes anymore either, which is honestly what we want. The load would be shared among a huge support system, then nobody would have to make the ultimate sacrifice because the sacrifice would be shared among more people. I'd be happy with that. I think that would be a good resolution for her. Did you see the new My Hero Academia? It has Izuku, Bakugo, and Shoto with their respective mentors. No, I haven't. Oh, I see them. Oh, nice. Best Genist, All Might, and Endeavor. All right, cool. No, Miguel. If that's the issue, I already addressed that when I have the Ray family, Endeavor's family coming in to help them out. Like, I get it too, though. Like, you want more people to be appreciative. I get that. I get that part. Like, I'll put that asterisk in there. I get that part. So apologies. I should have spoken to that point more. Apologies, Miguel. But yeah, no, I understand that. But like, the heroes come in because they understand the problems more. So like, obviously, you want society to understand the problems more. And if society understands the problem more, you have better things going on with the support systems. Although, I'm not sure if we'll actually end up seeing her wanting non-heroes helping heroes. Because this has been very centered on her. Like, if I was to talk about odds, I think it's more likely that we end up in a situation where this ends up in her romantic conclusion, which would be the worst. We don't really want her to be in the worst situation of all this leading to a romantic conclusion. Seth says, I honestly would actually wait to see what Horikoshi is doing with Uraraka. Like, yeah, criticize that she's got relatively little to do in the story, but I would wait to see what Hori's actually going to do. And Seth, I have no problem with that. That is the reasonable response. Like, I try to make the stipulations when I remember to make it, but I try to always say, I'm open to the future, right? I'm just not going to believe in him. And in my situation, it's like, I've been around for a while, Seth. I've seen many, many people wait on authors to address a particular plot point. Why, in an industry so rife with disappointment, so rife with people not getting what they want, so rife with plot elements not being properly addressed, so often people have been like, oh, don't worry, he's going to show this plot point. Don't worry, he's going to show this character do more stuff. Don't worry, it's going to happen. Why? Like, just like, I'm being a shit disturber, but why should I really hold out hope, right? Whenever I see people that write like you, Seth, I always think, I want you guys to get the things that you want to get. And I think waiting for Uraraka is a good move because he might still surprise us. But at the same time, let's not play the game that he is absolved, that criticisms cannot be had. Because, like, what I'm saying is that I'm making a bet on the future given what I've seen so far, because he hasn't proven me all that wrong with my current bets. Like, there's still a few times that's surprising, so that's why it's still a fun game for me. But yeah, when you look at manga and you look at the rate at which people are disappointed, holding like this, and this is not you, Seth, but I'm just thinking about my other interactions over the years. Devaluing a criticism because you're using the potential of a future, that's not a really strong argument. But again, respect to you because you're being careful about this. Like, really, conversely, dooming Ochako just because of the past is also very stupid. I think it's fine to keep I think it's fine in general to keep your opinions open. But just know, like, I'm looking at this because I want to look at this as a test case. And in the future, if Ochako does more and rises to the occasion and actually gets something fair given to her, then this turns into a nice story of like, yeah, we had this progression, but then at the end, it was actually made really worthwhile, and that can be really appreciated. Similarly, like, it's going to be very valuable evaluating the end result of Ochako's rationale by the end of the story, because it's almost guaranteed that Ochako's rationale is going to have some kind of result. And in terms of that result, when the time comes, it'll be an issue of like, okay, does this make sense with the story thus far? Was this a fair implementation? Obviously, the thing that we want to avoid is all of this just ending up in Ochako being Izuku's support system, right? We want her to have a bigger effect in the world. Even if it's something as simple as therapy or getting more people to appreciate, that'd be worthwhile. And again, to Miguel's point, I'm interested in the sacrifice being shared among more people. I'm interested in more people being appreciative of the heroes and being able to help out heroes more. But Ochako hasn't really had a lot of experiences where she's seen the way the public really reacts up close. So it might take a while till we get to that particular point of view, but I would be very excited for it. Baku didn't work though, it just made it technically worse. Yeah. Bakugo tried to snap. Well, it was a hectic situation. Bakugo tried to do his best. Bakugo's probably going to come back for a round 2. Because you or I don't actually know what he's doing with her, let's be real. Okay. I mean, that's true, Seth, but you're using the future potential to invalidate my opinion here. All right. So in a situation where I predict a particular plot movement and say you don't predict the particular plot movement, who would you say has the better read on Horikoshi's plotting? And mind you, that's really unfair because you probably have had really good predictions on plot movements compared to me. But I get it. To be fair, we don't know what he's actually planning with her, which is why I leave the possibility open. but I don't see. It's a manga by Shonen Jump. There are a lot of trends that can ultimately be read to try and figure out the general gist of where things are going. But again, I agree with you in that we should keep our minds open, and I wouldn't chastise Ochako for a future that hasn't come yet. I don't want to kill off Uraraka. Izuku needed a near-death section so he can start planning his shit instant of running. Bakugo, Shoto, Ida, and Momo going to save Izuku. Maybe Shinzo minus Ochako, of course. Oh man. Has Uraraka heard of Central Hospital? I hope so. Central Hospital is really the true hero. I feel that whenever we get a conversation between Izuku and Shigaraki, Izuku is going to think back to their talk in the mall. Especially considering that back then Izuku literally said he didn't understand Shigaraki. Yeah, that's a good one. It depends on how this plays out. If Horikoshi has a particular role to play with her, like he says he does, I hope he does good with her. He shouldn't have to say that when she is the main female character, but in some way, I hope it could better her character as a whole. Yeah, no, like when he said he had something good for her, I'm excited. I do want to see what it's ultimately going to turn into, because I think there's still potential here. It's just always an issue of, does Ochako get fairness compared to the other main characters? Oh, Vistrio, yes, give it. Trip, what do you think of the current events, the unusual and the book domain rally event? I mean, oh right, I forgot we were playing Genshin. I don't care for the Hilichurl stuff. I don't like it, but I'm doing the books whenever I can. Ochako has the heart of a true hero. She only has to believe it to get her problem solved. It's because she doubt herself, because she kept comparing herself to people who already made up their mind. Yeah, and that goes back to like the idea that Ochako is an ordinary person, surrounded by monsters, right? It's unfortunate, and to talk about how Ochako's perspective continues to bash her in the knees, right? The reason that Ochako can't do the things that that Ida does is because Ida isn't blinded by Izuku's back. Ochako is a character who's trying to match up to other heroes, but in doing that, she doesn't see the sights that Ida sees. She doesn't see the sight that Izuku sees. And what this manifests as is Ida knowing that Izuku is going to be in trouble when he goes off to save Bakugo. The reason that Ida sticks around Izuku more is because Ida understands Izuku by virtue of not trying to be like Izuku. Ida's looking at another person. That's the person who's blinding him, and that's his brother. And these little... If we were actually talking about an example of where Ochako's rhetoric puts her in a bad position, it's definitely there. In the critical moments, Ochako isn't near Izuku, and that in of itself is a side effect from the way that she's learning. But it's important to note that she is still learning, and eventually she is going to step out of Izuku's shadow, and she's going to be able to stand beside Izuku in the way that Bakugo, Ida, and Shoto already stand beside Izuku. But that goes back to the thing here. Like, Ochako is playing the catch-up game, and it's not her fault, again, because the people around her are extraordinary. How you think the anime will show the Shigaraki backstory? His family getting killed was very graphic. I just hope it's not Grey Dust Effect that they use now in the anime. It's probably going to get censored. Oh, and I will check for any spoilers. What time is it? This has been really passionate discussions. Oh, 11 o'clock. They probably, let's see, Black Clover hasn't equaled disappointment. The Black Clover equals plenty of disappointment. I had to go work out with my personal trainer. Nice! Nice, bro, nice! Maybe the problem is with Ochako is that she doesn't have the strong mindset of a hero, but the weak mindset of a hero. Oh, whoa, Vistrio. Shooty, I'm going to read that in a second. Not going to explain too much time, but I see it that way. Hope Horikoshi doesn't skip glosses over Toga's backstory in the manga and her development. I hope it's shown with Deku and all Ochako. Hermosa Ochako said enough. Need Deku answer Toga. Sorry, I disagree with you, especially in how they treat their pretty much everyone gets a power-up to keep up with the top character stories. Not suggesting her writing is above critique, but your critique and stuff hasn't yet commented on. When he said he'd write something for her specifically. Oh, I thought I was trying to be open to that. No, like Ochako's let me down every moment since this question has been brought up. Like ever since she asked this question, we've gotten more examples of people being helpful, and it's been increasing. And like in the perspective of her question is limited to who helps the heroes when they're suffering, and we know from the premising she's going to put herself into the position of helping heroes. And mind you, we're hoping for what Miguel's saying of her getting everyone to help heroes, but right now the rhetoric is more focused on her and her behaviors because the rhetoric was premised when she jumped in to help Izuku. Like again, I don't want to make it sound like I am critiquing stuff that Horikoshi hasn't yet worked on. I don't want it to come off that way, but I do want I'm betting because I want to see if I'm going to be proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong. Like I'm not going to chastise Ochako for a future that doesn't happen, but we've already gotten enough to make our ideas about Horikoshi. Like again, the fact that he has to say that Ochako is going to get a big moment, it's like that shouldn't have to be something you tell us. She's the main female character. Like he doesn't tell us Bakugo's going to get a big moment. You know he's going to get a big moment. He doesn't tell us Shoto's going to get a big moment. You know he's going to get a big moment. Like the people that should have gotten that billing were Hawks legitimately and another side character. Yeah, no man. Like again, I don't want to. I'm not berating Ochako for a future that doesn't happen, but the future that Ochako's heading towards, it's not the nicest. It doesn't really give me a lot of hope. But again, I still want to be surprised because it's more worthwhile to be surprised than anything else. But fair point, Seth. Fair point. I apologize if that's how it's coming off. Out of curiosity, Trip, do you have any theories about where All For One is currently residing? We know that the League is staying at the old mansion they attacked. However, as for where All For One is, I personally can't really think of anything, especially since it has potential, doesn't have any more bases to hide since all the places related to the Doctor were raided. I don't know. He might just... I feel like potentially he might have a safe house that's not connected to All For One or to the Doctor. I don't know. I kind of imagined him in his skyscraper again, but I don't know where he might be. Maybe I would go for, like he has a spot that's hidden, and what if he's in Central Hospital's basement? That'd be funny. Black Clover has better females in general compared to other shonen. How does a power-up equal not having any disappointments? Also, a bunch of harems I follow do a great job with female characters. Okay, the reboot of Lord Marksman. Okay, let's see. Your thought process of not having disappointment seems a little too much on just being biased for it. Let's see. Hori has been keeping Ochako out of the big events so that she doesn't get her answer. My simp theory is that Hori is going to have her left out when Izuku is being consoled by Pros and his friends, and she realizes that other heroes is the answer. And during this consoling, she hears all about what Izuku has done at the cost of himself to protect others, realizing how much she's missed, and it pushes her to realize how dumb she was to ask that question. No, I don't think it'd be good for, like that question isn't dumb. That question is a fundamental part of her development. It's a stone. I think it's a milestone that everyone needs to process at some point if they're like Ochako, and that she wants to. But I understand the feel here, and that she wants to be the one of the people who can truly console Deku, which doesn't feel like she can when she isn't even there to at least witness when he's destroying himself to save others. This pushes her relationship with him forward since she wants understanding of what Izuku goes through, but can't due to the fact she's missed so much. I know how unlikely this is, but I simp for Ochako and Hori. No, that would actually be really good. Like, actually, if that happened, I would be like, okay, great. This is everything I was saying. Great. I like that. That actually would change it fundamentally, because that shows a degree of self-awareness. Yeah, no, if that were to happen with the I really hope she wouldn't downplay herself. But if that's what she ultimately comes to, the one bad thing is that it doesn't go wide enough, where we kind of need it to go wide because of how much rhetoric has been invested in this. But if that's the conclusion that she comes into, where she sees other people consoling Izuku and she's once again wondering why she can't be part of that group, why she's being left out, I mean, great. Then that pretty much means every time I've said that, or every time we have said that these are the people that help heroes when they're in trouble, their support systems, then great. That'll be another great moment. Actually, I don't think it's very unreasonable for her to have this kind of level of self-awareness. Like, Ochako is usually very self-aware. I'd be very happy with that overall. That's a good one, Vistrio, I think. Because, but just I wouldn't want to devalue anything that Ochako's gone through. Because like the problem is, Horikoshi thus far, sometimes it kind of feels like he's devaluing Ochako. Sometimes it's just like it comes off the wrong way, just for me. I'm surprised he pulled an Issei and got the Harriman. Okay, let's see. Revenant, how thing? Okay, I prefer Black Clover over My Hero at this point. Or let's see. Also, I'm not a big fan into One Piece as it used to be. An art kind of soured things for me personally. Oh, that's too bad. Gohan. Anyways, I'm always excited to see Izuku try and save Nagant. I love how current setup is a twist on the classic villain targets bystander to get back the upper hand. Oh, that's a good point, Seth. And Seth, I want to make sure, like, you know, I don't mean any harsh feelings. Like, from my perspective, we're just both really hardcore fans, and I do appreciate anyone calling me out for anything, like Miguel did when I went too far there. So I want to make sure, Seth, that you still feel comfortable talking to me. Like, I don't think any less of you or anything like that. I get heated, like some things, but that's because I like talking with you guys, and it gets really exciting sometimes, so I apologize. Let's see. But the innocent bystander is Overhaul, and the one who might actually need to be saved is Nagant. Yo, Seth, actually, this is a question, like, you guys know my opinion, but if Overhaul gets shot, I mean, do you guys care? Because, like, I mean, the only thing I'm invested in is the Nagant Overhaul ship at this point. But, you know, like, if Overhaul got shot, like, this is like asking me to feel bad about a super hardcore villain accidentally killing themselves because you couldn't let the hero kill them. But like, I'd feel bad for him because he's crazy right now, and you know, so you shot an insane person, but at the same time, it's like it's Overhaul. I don't know, like he killed a child multiple times and revived her. That's a pretty sick guy. He put his boss in a coma. You know, like what do you guys think? Innocent bystanders, let's see. Oh, see ya, Black Fox. Oh, Vance is midnight. What time is it for me? It's 11 o'clock for me. The Cake is a Lie Island arc. And I have my issues with Wano. Oh, what issues do you have with Wano, Gohan? Because I have issues with Wano with the pacing. Like, I feel like it's a very shallow kind of arc. Like, not enough dwelling on it. Black Fox is a big surprise for me. Oh, oops. That's Marksman. I understand Whole Cake Island was meh. Oh, and then is how many times Luffy's lost. I mean, power scaling is not existent as rivalry. Doesn't make any sense. Luffy lost 2 times when he fought Crocodile. Let's see. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go off. Oh, okay. He's got work. That's why I call the arc. The Cake was a lie arc. Okay. I feel like Wano is showcasing the weakness of One Piece expansive writing style. Oh, that's an interesting opinion. I would say so as well. Yeah, I think so. I feel like One Piece is stretching wide instead of, like, focus. And it's really in the fights that you can see that. I kind of wish we had more in-depth fights like before. Oh, Joe Bailey. Hello, Joe Bailey. 100 years of life. He's got his own hiding spots. I would hope so. I would like to talk more about Lord Marksman with you, Black Fox. Let's see. It's kind of a good thing Luffy loses every now and again. It gets boring if he just straight wins up against these people who are said to be very powerful. It's okay if he wins afterwards. Like I said before, her moment will happen. It'll be met, and he will spend an arc trying to convince us it was awesome. I hope not. Ochako is a victim of the story she's in. Yes, Melona and Tsunade are good female characters, but Shonen does put them or don't know how to... Oh, I can't catch that one. Luffy has lost his lead 3 times. In reality, he should be dead. Giving the info on the Yoko, they have killed at least hundreds of their enemies over many years. There's also Charlotte, Rosalie, and Noelle. Yes. I feel like a Rise of Shield hero is a good anime with strong female in it. You gotta be a little bit careful with that one because of you gotta be careful with the way you argue that one. Like I could definitely say like Melty is a Malty is a strong female character because it's like, let's face it, evil visits everyone. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can't be like horribly evil. The queen's also a pretty cool character. The ones that be very careful with are Raftalia and Philo, only because like if you're gonna argue them, you have to be really careful with the words you choose, and you have to be really careful with the framing on that one. Like they have, well, Philo's a bird, but Raftalia has strong character arcs. But Raftalia in the novels sometimes gets put on the sidelines when they're focusing on another female, and because of her position as a harem mate, which she is, that will devalue her to certain people. So that's why you gotta be like really careful if you're gonna argue that. It would be a situation where you have to talk about the nuances of the character. The whole Scabbers plot lines are annoying. Yep. Raftalia has done well in Shield Hero, even in the manga adaptation. Imagine they're in the Attack on UA arc, everything destroyed. Uraraka then shouts Izuku, and Deku appears from his smoke screen with all 3 pro heroes on his back. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. I hope Kiko is in her proper place. Let's see. The Scarbird stuff has fallen flat somewhat. Oh, okay, I get you. The dramatic irony. Okay, if that's the case, it's true. I see it. Yeah, if I saw that level of self-awareness, yeah, I think I would be legitimately surprised, and I probably would give that a really good review. I probably would, because I think that'd be very fair. But I shouldn't be looking for confirmation of my ideas. Like if he does something as spectacular, that would be pretty good. But again, Ochako is like super self-aware. I just want Ochako to have the opportunity to be able to stand alongside Izuku sometimes. She doesn't need to stand alongside Izuku all the times, but just be there with Izuku actually. Be in a position where you can actually help Izuku in real time when it's needed. Like back during the during 1A versus 1B. Like that was a great moment. That was a great instigation moment for her. Doubt Oda will ever kill off Luffy or any of the Straw Hats. There were plenty of times they should have died but haven't. Hey Trip, do you think we'll ever see All For One's face? Personally, I don't think so. I hope so. I think at the end, or like at the end of his plot line for your theory, I would really like to see it. Should I catch up with the anime even though I've been caught up with the manga? No. Anime takes a lot of time to watch. If you already read the manga, don't feel like you need to watch the anime. Unless you're the kind of person that likes seeing stuff. Okay, Seth said no hard feelings. I have the benefit of not being on screen or being challenged in my face. Okay, good. Good, Seth. As long as we're cool. And again, Seth, like I don't mind. Like sometimes I misspeak, and sometimes I'm a little bit too aggressive on my rhetoric because I get too animated, and I use two words that are too sweeping. So I don't mind you pointing out a legitimate mistake. In the same way, I don't mind Miguel pointing it out as much as it hurts me. But yeah, let's see. I know that I'm talking about the term story of the Yonko. In reality, how many people they have killed? Luffy shouldn't be alive at this point. Yeah, no, Gohan, I feel ya, man, right? Because like, it feels like Luffy just went from dealing with Shishibukai to straight to dealing with the Yonko, and it's like, this is insane, man. Like, Luffy would have lost against Doflamingo if it wasn't quite literally for an entire city helping him. And mind you, he didn't win against Big Mom, so I'm quite happy with that. If Overhaul gets killed, then there's even less of a chance of getting his boss out of that coma. No tear for Overhaul. He dug his own. Yeah, the anime loves showing Overhaul's face. I don't care if Overhaul gets killed. Oh, you guys, I'm with ya. And in terms of spoilers, no. I am going pretty late, though. It would be nice if we got some spoilers. I guess I could check 4chan. I'll read you guys' comments and get to the end, and then I'll check 4chan. For me, it's about feeling bad. It's about his story potential now. It'll be a waste if he just died right now. Agreed. From story potential, it would be a waste. Is Iruma-kun shonen? I don't quite remember personally. I do look forward to that manga as well. I think it is shonen. I would call it shonen. Nagant hasn't shown any signs of mental breaking to Izuku, and Hawks has told him about the bullets she can make. I definitely feel she's going to head towards Overhaul rather than trying to stop her. Okay, gotcha, Viz. Big Mom, Kaido, and even Shanks are pro motor machines. Even Blackbeard, I'm sure, have quite a few at this point. Speaking of Iruma, the wicked phase in the end, not bad. Thoughts about Jujukai rates of death? Oh yeah, I think it happens quickly. Like if you remember, like this is like reflective of Jujukai's themes. Jujukai starts off with saying like being a sorcerer is a miserable job. The fatality rate's pretty high. So given that, like all it's been doing has been proving that yes, the fatality rate of being a sorcerer is pretty high. There's death everywhere. It's just an issue. Like some deaths just feel a lot emptier than others for me personally. Oh yay, random, yay, yeah. So like just to touch on what random trainer said here, the light novel version of the Queen. For those that don't know, the Shield Hero anime changed Naofumi's character to make him a more stereotypical regular hero. Naofumi's character in the light novel is actually way more aggressive, like way more anti-hero-ish. And I think the anime backed away from that because they probably didn't want to hurt their marketability. Their marketability. So they made the changes there, and might not be like I don't think it was a good move. I think what makes Naofumi special is his harshness that he has in that he's supposed to have in the first season. But that's my opinion. But the changes are quite aggressive. The amount of times they changed Naofumi, like there's one scene that Naofumi is just flat out saying the opposite of what he should have been saying. And when those situations, like if we're talking about writing stuff, like those are like the more interesting situations to talk about because this is like actually someone's changing someone else's narrative in order to make a character more marketable. That's a really big move because it says a lot about the money behind the situation and what a studio thinks is profitable. And also, like, I believe that the publishers have to sign off on it. So it's just a giant game of profitability. When these kind of things happen, like, you got to, like, really start looking at what exactly it is that these people want to accomplish. What if what Nagant says happened with the commission never happened and just her having a mental breakdown? That's why Hawks wants heroes to have it easier. She can't tell what's real anymore. Well, I hope it's not that bad because then it's going to make that poor girl look even stupider. Which we want to avoid, right? We want to have Nagant be as sympathetic as possible. Do we? Because, like, if the author does that, he's saying that he doesn't really care about her being sympathetic. No. He spent a while trying to build up that sympathy. Yeah, no, I think that's going to cause a backlash. It usually does cause a backlash when this kind of stuff happens. Because people don't like having their feelings played with. And the author already does this with other characters, where he dials them back from whatever height he put them to. Ooh, no, I hope not. Lord Marksman and Chivalry. I don't know about that series, but I think Gohan does. Okay, got that. Ochako's going to have the Izuku legs realization moment when she gets her answer. There's another season like Chivalry. Ochako's like Hinata. Will be there when needed, but sidelined when not, but we all love her. Okay. Yeah, all right. There's also look, honestly, if we had Ochako from before Kamino consistently, where she was consistently getting cool stuff and consistently developing herself actively, and we would see it more, I would be quite fine with it. Like, I really think if Ochako got more fights too, that'd be really worthwhile. Like, more like actually focused on fights instead of being told like, oh, she had this fight. Like, more intense fight, that'd be pretty worthwhile. Like, when Ochako has her issue with when Ochako has her issue with Toga during the war, the actual choreography for that was pretty good. And the things that it said about Ochako afterward were also pretty good. My only issue was just the fact that you're talking to this murderer about your love life. But otherwise, like, the choreography was pretty good. And then, unfortunately, on the other hand, you had to remove her from being near Izuku, which was unfortunate. And it's unfortunate, too. I remember when we were going into Izuku running into the situation, I remember how many people were hoping that Ochako was going to show up and save Izuku at some point. Like, come in... do you guys remember this time period? Because I made a video about it, too, because so many people were talking about it in the comments. They wanted to see Ochako coming in and saving Izuku, just... and maybe helping him figure out float at the last minute, because he would have felt the effects of float on his body and all that kind of stuff. And you know, it does speak to the fact that people want to see Ochako doing cool things with the love interest, right? And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate when you think about those people. They didn't get that. For that time period, I think I don't remember if I was initially on that line of thought. I think my cynicism might have kept me away from thinking Ochako was going to show up, and I only started considering it after I saw so many people talking about it. I remember Hyrule talked about it being a possibility, and I thought like, yeah, I should definitely make the video because that'll get me some views for the Ochako Izuku shipping angle. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Oh, how time passes. I feel so old already. Absolute Duo was alright. I read and watched a good amount of stuff. Seth says Overhaul can die just fine. Yes, Seth. Nice. Lord Marksman is great show, but I need to read the light novel where the Straw Hats find some way to escape Mom despite Big Mom. Hey, Chip, I'd like to hear your thoughts on a train of thought I had recently. Oh, yes, I would love to hear it. I love hearing your guys' train of thoughts. Light novel is good. The other question is how Law and Kid escape. That is the other thing I want to mention. Big Mom shouldn't be in the Wano arc. She should have been in an Elbaf arc. I agree. Now, Fumi is a big-time anti-hero in the light novels, web novels. I was thinking about my theory of All For One being defeated this arc, and thought about how Izuku is trying to understand Shigaraki to determine if he has to kill him or if there's another way. Even in manga, he's kind of in the anime they blame the curse shield for his evil behavior. Such a cop-out. Just accept that now Fumi has some significant issues because of his trauma. Problem Child from Another World, 27. In Another World with my smartphone, I love because it's more of a parody. Classroom and Alderman in the Alderman in the Sky. That was a good one. They needed a next season. I was thinking about how Izuku would even go about learning about Shigaraki, and the only... Let's see. And the only way I can see it happening is with Izuku directly confronting Shigaraki, similar to what he did with Muscular and is currently doing with Nagant. However, this currently can't happen since All For One is currently controlling Shigaraki, assuming he wasn't actually relinquishing control last time we saw him. Based on this, I think it's essential that All For One be dealt with before Izuku is even able to deal with Shigaraki. And while some might argue that All For One can temporarily lose control of Shigaraki, I don't see it happen, especially since All For One had the line about my turn will never end. So if All For One ever loses control, I feel like it will be permanent. I would agree with that last statement there. You know, there is a possibility that Izuku could get all the information during a really critical one-for-all Vestige World scene. Because we've seen that he was able to see the crying child through the Vestige World. And given that the vestige of Yoichi can show Izuku memories, Izuku might be able to fall into Shigaraki's memories even if All For One has fully taken control of him and shoved him into the darkest corners of his mind. So it's not like we don't have mechanisms here. Like, Izuku might not have to ask Shigaraki. He might, just by the virtue of being connected to him, be able to dive into his mind and figure it out. Which is honestly something that a lot of other people don't really have the opportunity to do. Smartphone anime didn't even show... Okay, let's see. Reader of Healer author decided to write what he wrote because there was a web novel site where the top stories were revenge stories, but the revenge aspect was only 2 to 3 chapters, then turned into harems. He wanted a true revenge story that actually lasted longer. Ah, yes. And at the end of the day, like, that light novel author is probably more consistent with Western authors in that he looked at a trend and he wrote to the trend. So good on him for writing to the trend because he succeeded. And he does the assassin manga now, or like the assassin story now, right? Muscular, okay, I got that. Gohan, I love to read light novel, but time in writing my story. Going Rogue, you're writing a story? Oh my gosh, Going Rogue, you're a writer? Oh my gosh, I'm excited. He made her less useful, giving Izuku float. Not even her quirk is needed. Also, even Hawks mentioned Izuku is so OP, only a few villains are even a threat to him. Also, in smartphone, waifus get more involved in fights. Going, that show was jokes. I literally answered the phone and saying, "What's up, God?" Based on, okay, I got that. If they are a threat to Izuku, then get the hell out of you or no help. You're just going to get killed. Let's see. Speaking of light novels, how's everyone's take on Spider's anime so far with the whole back and forth in time? Trip, what's your personal opinion on the teacher's skill to see the fate of her students? Oh, damn it. I haven't reached there. Ah, dang it. I didn't know about that. I'll catch up with it tomorrow. Give me a little bit of time and I'll catch up with it and I'll let you know. But the Spider anime, honestly, probably a sign of a good, entertaining adaptation. I don't know how much information they're leaving out, but let's face it, like Spider is for a certain kind of reader, and it would not have had mass appeal unless they did the things that they're doing, like all the cutaways to like all these different metaphors and all that kind of stuff. Like honestly, makes it a lot easier because like the Spider light novel is just so tedious. It's just a bunch of fights over and over and over, and you gain so many skills that are like, okay, you have over 80 skills, but you're only gonna use 20 of these. It's just so much, right? So I'm really happy with what they've done. People don't like the flash forwards, but I really enjoy them, just because like it was just so much in the light novel. Have to remember with Flamingo, he's one of the few rare ones that can do all three hackies. Calling all Spider Riders. Oh, Spider Riders was good. Isekai Tensei Sudo is the latest story I've been reading. Okay, cool. I feel like Izuku still would need to talk directly with Shigaraki since he's been asking villains especially why to do the things they do. Well, I mean, like he could talk with White Despair. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I am leaning towards a Vestige World communication. That's kind of where my mind's at. I just personally I don't see a situation where he could be able to talk to Shigaraki without Shigaraki being at 100%, right? Like I just don't see it happening anymore. It would be funny if one day Izuku just starts dreaming and he ends up connecting to Shigaraki and it's like, whoa, why are we here? Done, but rather if he sees Shigaraki, I feel like he'd still have to directly ask Shigaraki about it. Yeah, I don't think that'd be too bad. I think if I was to compromise, I don't even think I need to compromise here. I'd feel very comfortable. Well, I feel more comfortable imagining Izuku having a conversation with him at the very least inside of Shigaraki's mind. It's just like it's because of All for One being that buffer between the two that makes everything complicated. But given that Izuku's already seen the child, right? That's why I'm kind of going towards that direction. Yep, let's see. What if the author said they were going to write something worse than redo of Healer? I'd like to see if he could. Like, I've read a lot of trash on Amazon already. I don't think you can beat the trash that's on Amazon. But I'd like to see him try. Yeah, people were hoping Big Fro Chaco in the war scene with Mina when Horikoshi gave her the front cover. Many people were disappointed with Mina's part with Higantamachia. Hopefully she gets redeemed. That's unfortunate because Mina's part with Higantomachia was about what I was expecting. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but like during that time period, I was just saying like, all I know is that Mina and Kirishima are getting a moment against Higantomachia. Like I wasn't expecting a whole lot from it. I just expected some kind of moment there. Because those two were the characters that met Higantomachia. Like Higantomachia is the kind of Mina's instigation because she met him when she was in middle school and all that. So unfortunately for that one, I was pretty happy with that. I thought that was about as good as what we were getting. And I was just happy that she got a moment in general. Because in Hero Academia, it's very easy to lose out the opportunity to get your moments. So yeah, unfortunate. Although I know like with some characters, I do take the position of like any screen time is good time. I know I had this position back during the a few of the manga arc reviews because I remember talking to a commenter. I think it was called Azure Dragon about it. Just because of some characters get screwed over in screen time, and you have to appreciate whenever the minor characters get something. And specifically, it's with regards to the minor characters. Like the major characters, some of them you can do without. Paragraphs of skills. Oh, hey, OCL. Yeah, man. Paragraphs of skills all the way. Gonna just reload at Sushi here real quick. My voice is dying. Sorry, guys. But if you hear any cutouts, it's just my voice dying. Yeah. Okay, you know what? Let me load up 4chan as well, because Atsuchi has nothing, and I'm gonna get depressed if we get nothing again. Man, probably end the stream and then Sushi comes out with something mind blowing. Let's see, hero. Yeah, no, nothing. Nothing. It's unfortunate. Like, Juju Kai has so many things going on. Oh, One Piece spoilers. Well, let me look at these One Piece spoilers. I just want to look at the pictures real quick. Okay, Luffy's fallen, blah, blah, blah. Cut to Sanji's group with Zoro, Aizo, Kawamatsu. Sanji swinging Zoro around. Cut back to life. Kreese says he's done playing with Chopper. Perospero uses a new attack called Candy Shower. Blah, blah, blah. Queen attacks Chopper at the same time. Oh, that's too bad. Sanji gets to have a good moment. Trying to find, because there were some really cool things happening with One Piece here, but I shouldn't waste time. Shouldn't waste your guys' time. I was just like, there's a lot of spoilers. Let's see. How much do you believe in the all for one body jacking idea? Man, Speed, I was saying that All for One was going to take over Shigaraki's body since before it happened. I still remember those days. No, All for One's 100% going to try to take over Shigaraki's body. I think he's just using Shigaraki as a battery. I know White Despair has the counterpoint, and so White Despair and I are waiting to see what ends up happening. But I think All for One is just going to take over the guy's body. At best, it'll be like a fusion. He's trying to fuse with Shigaraki. But otherwise, like, yeah, man, he's body jacking, and I'm pretty sure when that guy dies, it's gonna get worse. I like a battle system where you had a limited amount of slots for skills, so MCs would learn skills, but they had to choose the build instead of just carrying them all like a Pokemon moveset. Oh yeah. Miguel, I'm also like kind of workshopping some ideas there for writing a system like that, because I kind of like the limited systems, and I think it's, it gives a different effect. Ironically, I think some of the battle shonens technically have those kind of slots. They have slot mechanisms which are worthwhile. They can also compensate limited skills by combining them to make other techniques, so battles will have more variety, interaction, and creativity. Yeah, you could also probably give the skills like skill trees, so one skill can continuously evolve along like reasonable logical lines and become a little bit better every time. That would be like another way of making it exciting as well, right? I think you could definitely play around. If you make the skill acquisition process also very long and you make every skill gained about as monumental as gaining a crew member in One Piece, I think that'd be also a nice way of doing the mechanism. An example of this, and it's not skills, but in Toriko, you know how they had their menus, their full courses that they had to fill out with different foods. Toriko made these people finding a new dish that they actually really enjoyed a big deal, and I feel like that would be worthwhile. I see All Might is Aang and Deku is Korra. Interesting. When is the Vestige World gonna give Izuku some clothes? Is him being naked gonna be a joke when he finally gets to the percentage where that part of him stops being cloudy? I hope not. Good night, Seth. I could see a Vestige connect between them, especially since every non-league villain has been defeated due to the effort of the villains, with their heroes usually also playing a role. So, however All for One goes out, I feel like the league will definitely play a vital role. Izuku was only in-house because Shigaraki sent the Nomus. Togen twice manipulated the heroes to screw over Overhaul, and the league defeated Redestro and My Villain Academia. I feel All for One will be no exception to this. I mean, I agree with you, man. Like, I still feel Shigaraki is the one that kills All for One. I don't know how it'll work, but that's still what I feel here. There's also people who see the Vestige All for One as completely different from All for One in his actual body. I mean, it's technically different. It's him, but it's like, imagine if you cloned yourself and the other you went out into the world and like travel the world. Like he gained all these different experiences over a year or something. Technically, it's a different you, but he can come back and tell you about it and stuff like that. I do think it's different, but I do think there's going to be a significant information exchange when All for One dies. When we see Class 1A, it's going to be Uraraka and Izuku make and plan. Okay, Izuku was only in Hosu. Okay, gotcha. Izuku would make a cake for Lei Nagant so she would turn back and being a hero. That the spoiler. I swear, Lei Nagant says she'll entrust the future of the Hero Society to Deku or something along those lines. I do enjoy our discussion about All for One Shigaraki trip. As do I, White Despair. Like, actually, man, I am really rooting for you to be right on this one. Just because, like, I like having you as a rival. I like having all of you as rivals because it's fun. Oh, good night, Gohan. The reason why Izuku doesn't have the suit in Vestige World might be symbolism that his journey as a hero is not done yet. So once he has it in Vestige World, he'll be fully realized as a hero. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Guys, remember when Nana had they miscolored Nana to have a different suit than she usually had? I actually like the full sleeve suit more than her regular sleeves or the regular sleeveless look. Uraraka is going to doubt herself with Bakugo, is going to make her feel better. It's with Bin, Momo, Bakugo, Jiro, and Uraraka. Okay. I imagine that if All for One is defeated before Shigi, the final battle will take place with Shigi fighting the very loud voice of All for One in his head, and that distraction is what allows Izuku to take him on. Oh yeah, I could see that mechanism there. Like, that's a pretty good mechanism. Imagine if Izuku is at 99% completion rate and his whole body is exposed except his privates and going roads out. Okay? And once she isn't able to fight anymore, All for One takes over and tries to fight with whatever is left while both of them are on their last legs. I mean, I would be down for like a total just all out fight, you know. Like if we go all out, yeah. I'd be in. I'd be in. Okay, I'm going to give a quick look to 4chan. I don't see anything here, but I'm looking. Yeah, no big things in 4chan. I'm sad. I want more information, but I guess we'll just have to wait till tomorrow is what's probably going to happen here. Yeah, nothing on 4chan. It's like 4chan gave up, man. That's what makes me the saddest. 4chan gave up on giving us spoilers. What a terrible situation to be in. Oh! Oh! Uh-oh! Uh-oh! Wait. I don't know. It looks kind of edgy. But I'll read out this spoiler. Chapter begins with a bullet going straight towards Shizaki's head. That's already suspect. We enter a Izuku flashback of him talking with the third user about his quirk. Second user isn't present in this chapter. Third's name is Shinsetsu. Shinsetsu is his first name, not last. Fajin is a quirk that grants a huge boost to physical strength. However, due to its evolution of one for all, he says it can be wielded in other quirks to amplify their power further. I can see that. Flashback ends with Shinsetsu telling Izuku that he can do it and he'll be able to handle his quirk. Okay, but that's like last time he was. That'd be a pretty big flip flop. I hope they gave justification if this is the case. Izuku says that Shinsetsu is very kind. Return to the fight. The bullet is inches away from Shizaki's face. Nagant thinks it's checkmate as Izuku can't defeat her without letting Shizaki die. You know. So this woman has decided to kill. The problem here is that the spoiler is saying that Nagant's okay with killing Shizaki. And if she does that, this gets even worse for the character. Because now it's like You're killing people again. What is redeemable about you? Izuku thinks to himself and says, if I can't do this, I can't win. And we enter 3 back-to-back spreads of Izuku channeling Fajin into Black Whip, shooting it out to destroy the bullets. And the final page with Izuku grabbing Lady Nagant and breaking her sniper, with Izuku having a bleeding eye with a bullet fragment on the edge of his eye, announcing that he's won. Some strange level of detail here, though, guys. Oh, and there's a break next week. Hmm. I'm shaken. Only slightly. The main reason I doubt that All For One dying will aid in this supposed body takeover is the fact that if that were the case, then why doesn't he just kill himself? Maybe he doesn't know about it, but like honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Like All For One's pretty crazy, right? Like he might be trying to go for 5 different plants. You know, like the vestige might be a contingency. Like it really depends. I mean, okay, White Spirit, if it happens, we can have a conversation about the stupidity behind it, because I'm sure for it to happen, like I think you're right. That depending on how it goes down, it might look really, really stupid, and I think that'd be worthy of criticism. Maybe he will tell Shigaraki the truth and let him be killed by Shigi, so it further increases his rage and hopelessness. Oh, that'd be an interesting way of going about it. Like he doesn't kill himself until he's absolutely sure that Shigaraki's at his pinnacle of hatred. I wonder if we're going to see Vesta take over a fight All For One versus One For All predecessors. I still think that's very possible. Like I'm still imagining All For One dying when his brother hugs him. Apparently the studio doing Odd Taxi is doing Komi. Oh, Odd Taxi is amazing. From what I like, you gotta like don't go in wanting an action. Go in wanting like a cool thing, like a cool visual treat. I really like Odd Taxi, though I haven't caught up. Don't really care for this chapter if that spoiler feels like it's dragging out the fight with Lady Nagant. Yeah, Nagant's reaction could also been because she didn't expect Izuku would know him. Imagine that the break is the only part of the spoiler that's real. Were those spoilers real, Trip? Not confirmed yet, Ty. They're just the ones I found on 4chan at the last minute. But I don't know. Like the level of there's only a few read on posted. Let's see. I think Read On only ever really does One Piece spoilers. Let me just check something here. I'm pretty sure it's always Read On that does the One Piece spoilers. Yeah, I don't know where Read On hangs out nowadays, but yeah, from the like it's just so far the only spoiler we have is whatever is going on 4chan. It said that the chapter title was Parallel. So if Asuchi comes out here and says that this thing is, well, that, then we'll know. I'm reloading both of the Asushi pages now. What time is it? Guys, we'll call it in 15 minutes because I need to sleep. I mean, I only recovered yesterday. So, yeah. What time did Asushi pop up last time? 12:19. So he did this at midnight my time last time. You know what? I think I'll wait a little bit past midnight because that's roughly when things happened, I think. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I think I'll wait a little bit past midnight my time, just see if we get lucky. So so for anyone keeping score, okay, I also just find it really strange that as soon as the Vestas took over, he started saying the opposite of what he did in Camino. Like, I understand a villain have a secret motive, but the fact that it's literally the opposite strikes me as weird. Things like now it's your turn and everything is for you are now replaced with my turn will never end and all for my sake. Yeah, but remember, right? Like, also in that early era, All For One said that he was going to turn Shigaraki into the next him, right? So, like, we do have another instance of this really strange dialogue there. Though, I agree with you, man, right? This is one of those issues where we gotta wait and see, because it's just, it throws me off a lot. Oh, Vance. Sorry to hear that, man. But thanks for being so long. And yeah, the birds, I took care of them. Don't worry about it. Oh, if you think about it though, like All For One has been turning Shigaraki into him, calling Shigaraki, naming him after himself. He has been naming him after him for a long time. Kind of weird how they say the third user is suddenly okay with Deku using the quirk when last chapter he was like, no, you shouldn't yet. No, I agree. Like, that flip only makes sense if the third user like, yo, bro, you're not that stupid. I apologize. That was actually pretty good. And I assume that the chapter's called Parallel because of parallel processes. But, you know, you gotta also recall, in all of our time doing this, 4chan's only been right once. And every other time it kind of failed. Is All For One manipulating into believing he's doing things by himself? Hard. Like, All For One definitely is manipulating Shigaraki. Like, when you see the way he's talking to him at the prison, he is. All For One is the type of people that tricks people into thinking their people do things in their own agency. Ah, yeah, Tion, you got to the ending? Yeah. Do you get now why I was saying that the ending is, like, the weird spot in Cage of Eden? That's why. Because, like, it got, like, really, like, Cage of Eden, as you can understand it, is a really strange wish and creating the facility for the wish to take place. It's very strange, very unusual. Good night, random. For those that wanted to see the spoiler, oh, god damn it, that's a big one. Never mind, I can't post it. There's too much. That's too much. There's 1,000 characters. Yeah, so Tiandre, as I understand for the ending, Cage of Eden was rushed. I think, you know, people got tired of it, like, once it got to the last little bit, because it was slowing down quite a bit. And I think that's why it got canceled the way it did. That's why it's slow. But, like, before that, I really enjoyed Cage of Eden. It just strikes me as weird. We suddenly have, let's see. Flashback to his talk with All Might and how All Might said he couldn't escape, and All For One remarks that he was correct. I just feel like we should have seen All For One give a similar flashback to him. Oh, got new mail. Nope. So Tiandre, to explain that one, first you have to take it as if you have to take time as not being sequential. You have to assume that time is not super linear on this one. So, firstly, in terms of what was going on, the reveal of the island comes about because of the plane disappearing, right? But then, as the island continues forming, the mother starts having those dreams of her son having adventures in the future. So they, like, it pretty much is like a closed loop where because of the because of the formation of the island, the kids were able to time travel, and I think the mom did make a wish that her son could, in fact, if this was going to happen, that he could, in fact, have those adventures on that island and live on that island. So really, it's just. Oh, it's so hard to explain this. Yeah, it's just a situation where. Okay, it's just a situation where it's a locked time loop. They time travel. They go to an island that the mom was involved in, and the mom's only connection to that island was that she wished that the kids could get into the island. So hard to really say what exactly happened there. But it's the ending, right? That's why you're not supposed to think about it too hard. The mom's wish is probably a big deal. If I do recall that she wished. So White is saying, I feel like we should have seen a All For One give a similar flashback to him saying that Shigaraki was the next me, and think about how technically he was telling the truth or something like that. Yeah. Well, we might still get that in the future when the author needs to justify it more. It would be funny if the spoiler is true. I mean, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see the reaction. And again, they only use pointed stakes while the other guys had people use flint and bows like bruh. Why did the old man even decide to build the island? Was it a memorial for her? Yeah, pretty much. It was a memorial for her, and like, well, that's why I believe her name was Mina. Is the name of the character of the girl that the grandfather funded or whatever. But yeah, no, like it partly memorialized her, partly, but it was also they probably wanted to investigate things. I don't remember the politics of every situation there, but I remember there were many ulterior motives going into that of like why did this happen to the son and all that, or to the kids? Where did they go? Just strikes me as very, very weird that we seemingly have All For One revealing his supposed true plans, and yet have zero reflection of past events. Yet to provide a flashback to his talk with All Might. No, yeah, by that logic, I would agree with you, White Despair. I would agree that it is very strange. The lack of symmetry is strange. And Tiandra, yeah, if they seem pointless to you, I think that's, again, like the big sign of, the fact that they didn't do this that great. Like the ending was kind of rushed. Like those things are just like all of that was just the mechanism by which to explain that you could be on such a weird island, right? Like at that point, the story had to justify how the heck are ancient animals on this strange island, because then they had to justify what's going on. How do you create a situation where you're in the future and these things are happening? So it was just like, whenever manga have to justify their weird settings, this is usually what happens, and that's what happened to Cage of Eating. Like honestly, if they kept the kids just in another world or on a hidden phantom island, like I do think that would have been much simpler. Or just sent them into like a hidden phantom island or something like that, or like a giant conspiracy that like Mina's parentage had gotten her stuck on that island or something like that. I think it would have been a little bit more tight, but otherwise, yeah, it's just like that happens sometimes with manga. They just get a little bit too big for the justifications.
Let's dance.
Oh, come on, almost there. So guys, I'm just farming. I'm just doing a lot of farming because there's a lot of cool stuff happening. And I always need more of these things, so use bonus. I also have to keep questioning why the Doctor in All For One wouldn't simply implant the All For One quirk into Shigaraki. Why is it necessary that Shigaraki first prove himself to Gigantomachia? If they hadn't done that, then Shigaraki would have already reached 100% by the time of the war. Yeah, man. I feel that. Like all I can really say is like they needed Shigaraki's body to be at a optimal state. That's the only defense I have for that. Like I really don't understand otherwise. Like unless you have some kind of thing about his mental state being important to whether or not he acquires the quirk, like I don't see what else justifies that other than they were actually grooming Shigaraki to be worthwhile, which invalidates the point of takeover, right? Hey guys, so you know we're also getting to that point of it's late in the night and all that. You know we're waiting for Atsushi here. I'm gonna go for like 20 more minutes. Looking at the time here, yeah, I'm gonna go 20 more minutes. See if Atsushi pulls one out on us. But guys, you know we're in June, and that Pentagon report with the aliens, yo, it's coming. Like from what I've read, the Pentagon report is like towards the, if I recall, Pentagon is coming on June 28th. I think that's the official deadline. So I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but I am very excited to see the redacted mess of whatever it is that we end up getting. When it comes to the UFOs and whatever the Pentagon's producing in that report. I'm very excited. Just giving you my weekly aliens update. Can't wait. I mean, Obama also said that there were things in the sky that he doesn't know about. So, you know, like that's also worth considering. Yeah. I'm very excited. Very excited. I really hope this isn't like a scheme to justify war with space now, though. Like, because that's so American. Sorry, Americans. I know it's not you. That's so government American. Personally, I just like how every survival manga... Oh, oops.
Disappear.
Let the show
Yo,
begin.
Tiandra, don't even joke, man. Don't even joke. But let's see. Oh, I can't focus on this and read. I wonder if I can just get past this. Okay, no, it's happening. Alright. Personally, I dislike how every survival manga just completely ignored the survival aspect in favor of adventure and romance. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's actually any other one that doesn't. But there's not well, Dr. Stone doesn't really focus on romance. And but it's more like scientific survival. But Dr. Stone is probably like the better thing. But then again, Dr. Stone is about adventure. Okay, let's see. Trip, Asushi knows you're... Okay, I don't really understand the body being at an optimal state, considering that the entire point of the surgery was to strengthen his body. Like, what was his doctor's thought process? I have this procedure to improve your physical body, but I refuse to do it until you improve your body. I mean, the doctor says it himself, like, oh, Shigaraki, you're a better specimen than we thought you were, or something like that. I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to make sense of what I'm seeing here. They also could have said that they needed someone with ridiculously strong willpower, right? Like, if we change the conversation to, like, let's move away from body capability, maybe, like, mental capability. Like, maybe that's the other way of looking at it, because at the end of the day, Shigaraki willed himself back to life kind of thing, right? Or willed himself close enough that he only needed a small shock to come back to life. So if we put it into, like, strong will, maybe that's where Shigaraki proving himself is more important, maybe? Like, I'm really grasping at straws here to try and justify this. Oh, see anime, miss. So maybe switch away from the body being optimal to mentality being optimal, because maybe the mentality, the tenacity makes a difference. Oh, clouds and they found oil in space and clouds on Mars. Oh my gosh, guys, that's so exciting. But you know, guys, you know, I've been reading a lot of like science stuff recently, and you know, I do feel that sometimes some scientists get too caught up on our definitions of life and all that kind of stuff. And you know, no disrespect to them, but like, what stops invisible beings from existing, right? Like, what stops an electromagnetic being? Like, an electromagnetic being, you really wouldn't be able to identify it without different kind of instruments. And I think at that point, you have to define life differently and all that kind of stuff. I just feel like, you know, for all we know, there might be aliens in Jupiter that are like sentient clouds, right? You never really know. At the end of the day, there's what, like, the greater percentage of the universe is dark energy and dark matter, and dark energy and dark matter is ultimately matter and energy that we can't properly define. Like we can't we know it's there, but we can't get much else besides knowing that it's there. And you know, when you have a situation like that, I think we should be open to the possibility that life takes way more forms than we're used to. And I'm just trying and make an argument for aliens. But it's cool that they got that whole thing about oil. I didn't know about that. Yeah, AN683. Yeah, man. I hope we get something good. At least something that says like, okay, yeah, like UFOs are real. We don't know if they're aliens, but we know they're real. Like even that, I'd be quite alright with it. Although, look, yo, the UFO subreddit, holy crap moldy. There are so many people complaining. So pretty much like a regular subreddit. But there are so many people fighting each other. There's so many things going on the UFO subreddit. And recently on the UFO subreddit, there's been cross posts of people showing off their cameras. And there's one, I saw a video of one guy. He had found, he had taken a video of a woman on a mountain, right? Taking a selfie. And he was saying he was photobombing, right? He zooms out of it, and the man is like 3 mountains away in a field of flowers. The zoom on modern cameras is amazing. And I looked it up, and one of these cameras is like $1,300, and I'm like, yo, bro, if writing works out for me, I'm 100% gonna buy one of these cameras. I'm gonna make YouTube videos about it, because I would love to snipe people from mountaintops and just see from, like, it just looks so fake, man. Like how far that camera went, it was so interesting. But yeah, guys, so if I'm ever successful, you guys will know, because I will start posting videos of me showing off a camera that has a really far zoom. So when that happens, know that I've made it on Amazon. Know that I've made it. But yeah, Tiong just says, oh wait, Sushi wants you